Welcome in. Welcome. Come on in. Come on in. Hi. Hi, Priscilla. Hello. Hello, hello. We are going to be using a whiteboard today. How are we doing? No, I moved my kids' show. I moved it. God was speaking, so I moved it. My next kid show is Sunday morning. Sunday morning. Go bookmark. Welcome in, you guys. This is our first Q&A together. Well, since we've come back. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, you didn't miss it, I promise. Hi, Bree. Bree, I'm gonna make you a mod.
What if I do that?
It's pretty glary, and it puts a shadow on me. Yeah, that's better. Hi, friends. I'm just pulling this up on my iPad. So, the format for today? You did? Okay. The format for today have like a little teaching moment. My husband's gonna share just a very simple business strategy to help you guys grow in your business. If you guys receive value, feel free to tip. We are currently putting together funds to buy a family vehicle, and we have $500 total. I didn't have time to put it into a poll, but we have $500 exactly. How crazy is that? Okay. Bree, you are now mod. And why am I not following you? Now I'm following you. Okay. Yes. Hi, Stephanie. Welcome, welcome. So my husband is he's just cooking chicken nuggets for our little one downstairs.
You guys want any?
Do you want chicken nuggets, anyone? We cook them in the air fryer.
Ship will be to you in 5 to 7 days.
Yeah. Foxface says, me, heck yes. I love it. I love it. Be sure to bookmark, you guys. I have an upcoming women's show tomorrow evening, and I have some very, very amazing items, and the show is going to be a little bit different. I'm not going to share anything other than that, but I've received so much revelation, and I'm so excited to do shows. So we're going to do a little teaching moment. My husband's going to teach you guys what is called the 5S model. This is how we have built and grown our business. And it's just a very simple model that will kind of help you compartmentalize your business in an appropriate way. So when you're functioning in your business, you have clarity, and I think the 5S model is like the perfect place to start. We are going to be doing Q&As or teaching, I don't know what we're going to call them, but we are going to do question and answer after my husband teaches, and it's not going to be very long. Don't worry, you're not going to school. And then after that, we will do Q&A. We are going to be doing Q&As every Friday afternoon. So be sure to go bookmark. I have other Q&A show posters up right now. You can go bookmark so you don't miss them. And we're just going to be covering the 5S model. So I'm going to turn it over to my handsome husband.
Hi, friends.
Hello.
She'll look at the comments as they come in, so y'all feel free to ask questions as we go along.
Yeah.
We're going to keep it pretty simple.
Do you need pins?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
The 5S model, if you guys are reselling, you're new to reselling, it's really important just to have something that you can use to understand where you are in what you're specifically working on. I think a lot of times in business, there's so much stuff to do that it becomes difficult to understand what specifically you should be working on. And if we don't understand specifically what we're working on, we'll most likely default to just doing the stuff that we enjoy doing. And very rarely are you going to build an entire business purely off of the things that you enjoy doing. There's going to be things that you're probably not as skilled at, or you don't feel as comfortable with. And so this can look like where, I don't know if it's still a term, but death piles comes from. Death piles is when you go out and you source a bunch of clothes and then you get it home and you put it in a pile, and the next thing you think is, I should probably go get more. I should go get more clothes. Instead of moving
Don't
it
judge
to,
us. We love it.
instead of moving instead of moving the business forward. And so what I want to give you is a really simple model that we use. This is what we teach in our coaching group, but this is also something we want to share with you so that you can move through the cycle of this, so you know where you're getting stuck in the cycle. What I'm going to share with you is very simple, but there are layers to this, and we're not going to go into all the various layers. But I feel like if you understand this model really well and you apply it, you can get a lot of results just by following this process. So we're going to think of this not like a wheel. I'm going to write this out. So the 5S model. You see that? Yeah.
Can you guys read this?
Is that backwards? Am I backwards?
No, they
Yeah.
see it. Okay.
All right.
They can see it.
Cool. So we'll go through these one at a time. First and foremost is sourcing. This is for all you treasure hunters out there. This is most likely why you got into reselling, is because you love finding stuff and then selling it. Or some of you just like finding stuff, but you need to find a way to financially support your habit of treasure hunting. So first thing is sourcing. This is just the process of going out and finding the items. I think if you are looking at this in terms of like steps and you don't know what to source yet, you want to get into reselling, but you don't exactly know where to start, I would really look at three things. Number one, I would look at what is similar to your style. Most likely you're going to source things that you like. Next would be, what do you have knowledge already in? So a lot of the stuff that Jen picks up, she'll mention like, oh, this is stuff that, I would have worn 20 years ago. So having some knowledge in that really helps. And then the last piece is, what do you have access to? Because everyone has a different environment around them. You might not have Goodwill bins, you might have different thrift stores, but there's so many different ways you can find things. Not only can you do it offline or in the real world where you're going to thrift stores or garage sales or estate sales, but there's also the ability to do it online as well. So that's the process of sourcing. Once we've sourced our item, we're going to do this like an arrow like this.
Okay, are they already in here?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're going to stage your items. Stage. So staging is, think of it like you're staging a home. You're going to sell a home. You're going to stage your home. All you're doing is preparing your items, preparing your environment that you're going to be selling in, and then staging yourself. So that's simply going through identifying any flaws. That's also where we are going to look for unique features to bring up. So this is just you preparing to do an actual show or a stream. So it's simply just going through and cleaning up your items and mentally preparing yourself, your space, and your items to be sold. So that's staging. Once we've completed staging, we're going to move to the next phase, which is stream. This is simply pressing start stream on your phone. If you're on Whatnot, which you are, because that's how you're hearing me right now, if you're on Whatnot, this is just the process of going in and sharing your items, showing what you got. Each one of these levels has a different role or an identity or even a mindset that goes into each particular stage. So we're not going to go into detail about that, but something to keep in mind is each one of these has different skill sets, different mindset, and a different approach that you're going to take. Who you are as a treasure hunter isn't going to be the same as who you are when you're streaming, right? But each one of these elements feeds into the next element. So that's the third S, which is stream. I used to put the S as sell, but we don't do that because if you guys have been watching our Q&As, we're very big on controllable wins. You can't necessarily control how many sales you make. All you can do is control what you do, not how many people are showing up, what your items are going for. All you can do is select your start price and go through your process. So I changed it to stream because selling infers that there is an outcome which you can't control. So we can go a little bit more detail. I know we cover that a lot as far as controllable wins, but reselling is such a mindset game that you need to put into place a way to control your wins. Don't create definitions of success based off of things that you can't control, meaning you can't control how many people show up to your show, but you can control your attitude, how you approach it, your process of showing the items, the process of staging the items. These are all within your control. So whenever you're starting into any one of these stages, identify what your controllable win is going to be and what you're doing during each one of these. Don't try to mix these things up. You don't try to stage in the middle while you're streaming, right? Each of these is a separate step. So once you streamed, maybe you sold some items. This is where you simply go in and ship the items. So that's the fourth S. Shipping is obviously critical. This is where you are delivering on what your offer, what you made an offer to somebody. If they decide to move forward with an offer and they purchase something from you, then fulfill on that. This process of shipping also is where you can gain so much insight as to how you did during your stream. So if you go into Whatnot, you guys have shipped before. If you haven't, when you go to ship, there's actual video receipts, so you can watch yourself.
It's cooking. I'll bring it to you.
So you can watch yourself and each one of the sales that you made. There's so much value in going back and watching. Think of an athlete watching game footage, right? You need to go back through and review how you're doing. Go through and review your shows. This is my beautiful daughter, a reseller in the making.
Yeah.
She's already done lives before, and she loves it. And she goes to the post office with me as well. Yeah.
I help ship your clothes. Ship your clothes. Ship your clothes. Bye, guys. Bye, Priscilla.
All right, so this is the 5 S's. This little wheel right here, what you want to do, if you want to get good at reselling, here's the trick. I'm going to give you the secret sauce right now. You ready? Do this as much as you possibly can and learn from every time you go through this process. That's it. You'll inevitably get better. What you don't want to do is spend so much time sourcing and then never stage. You stay in one step for years and you don't move to the point that you actually do a stream. Here's the thing. If you've never done a stream before, it would be unreasonable to expect that you're awesome at it. Sorry, but you're probably not going to be good your first time through. So don't put expectations that it needs to be a certain way. All you need to do is after you've done your stream, and of course you're listening to this and you're applying controllable wins, identify whether or not you did your controllable wins, and then move on to shipping, and you're going to look and see, how could I do this better next time? And that's it. And then you go through the process again and again and again. This iteration right here is what allows you to get better. It's what allows you to improve. If you get stuck in one of these stages and you stay there and you're waiting for the perfect time to move on to the next stage, there is no perfect time. You will literally stay stuck in one of these phases for months, weeks, days, or months. And what you want to do is just kind of bite the bullet, just suck it up and do it. And don't expect that you're going to be awesome at it. Just move through. And after you've done it, do it again as quickly as you possibly can. So what happens is, this is why this is so beautiful, by the way. This is why we are a big advocate of live selling versus traditional reselling. Traditional meaning like either on a managed platform like RealReal or something along those lines, or you're selling on an open platform like an eBay or Poshmark, Mercari, Depop, whatever the latest ones are. We sold for years on eBay and Poshmark and Depop, and the problem is the most valuable part of your business when it comes to improvement is feedback. And it's hard to get feedback from traditional reselling because you might need to wait days, weeks, or months before you even know if that item was a good item. Plus, by the time you even recognize that a couple weeks later, you've already picked up several of the same items based off of an assumption that it is a good item, but you don't know that for sure. We never want to go into our business being like, oh, we know for sure. We know for sure. No,
because I like it.
Yeah, because I like it, or
Top
I've seen that this is sold on another platform for this, so therefore that's what I'm going to get for this item. Instead, what we want to do is we want to approach this from a place of like we're scientists or we're just testing. We don't know. We're just testing theories. And so this gives us feedback very quickly. We know immediately after sourcing, this entire process can take less than 48 hours. You can source on a Monday, have that stage that night, do a show on Tuesday, ship out that night, and go sourcing on Wednesday. When you do this iteration and you do it quickly, what you learn during the staging, streaming, and shipping process applies to your sourcing. So the next time you go out, you're going to have fresh on your mind, oh, these type of items do really well. I'm going to pick up more of those. These items did not go very well, so I'm going to stop picking those up. And the more and more that you do that, the better you get. Now, I think one of the things that's come up in our coaching group, and we're actually going to be doing an entire, I think this is what our Monday call is going to be. We do a call every Monday with our coaching group, and I think part of it is going to be around branding or the marketing. And I want to just give you guys a really simple way to continually grow your audience without having to come up with new content all the time. And it's simply this. I think this is one of the most valuable, simple ways to do this. Share your experience by documenting it and what you learn.
On my Instagram right now, in my Instagram stories, I am doing, oh, thank you for the raid. Who raided me? The Wandering Floor. I am so grateful that you enjoyed the sweater I sent you. I was so sad that the sweater you bought was more damaged than I thought. So I'm so glad you liked it, and thank you for the raid. If you guys are wondering what I know, it was so cute. I literally was like, Holy Spirit, what do I send her? And he was like, that. I'm like, okay. If you guys go to my Instagram stories, my Instagram handle is in the show notes, and you go to my stories, this is what he's talking about. It's just documenting me doing sourcing, me staging, me streaming, me shipping. And you're just going to share that, and it's going to grow you, and it's going to grow your business.
The reason why is because this is the most genuine thing you could possibly show in your business. It's just you learning things and even just stating like, this is what I learned this week. Simple things. Like we took our shipping table and Jen found while she was sourcing, she found some of those, like, I think they're metal or like heavy plastic stamps so we could raise our shipping table, which is just a folding table we got from Costco. But she was having to hunch over it when she was shipping. So she was looking for these items. So these platforms that she could put the table on to raise it up a good 6 to 8 inches.
Because my back, I was so hunched over and I hated it.
So she sourced these items and we raised our shipping table, and there's probably documentation of it. We've taken a picture of it. Why? It's not that exciting of a thing. It's a huge improvement for us, but just show how you're improving. So as you go through your sourcing, show some of the items you might have sourced or your process of sourcing. Any stories that come along with this. If you go out treasure hunting a lot, you're going to come across some stories. You're going to come across other treasure hunters, and there's some interesting treasure hunters out there. So you can share those stories. Staging, right? Just showing you're preparing for that. It's really easy. Just set it up. Also, this is a great way for you to actually focus on what you should be doing. One of the best things I've been doing this recently is it's easier for me to focus on doing the task when I turn my camera around and I just record myself doing it, because now I can't look at my phone anymore. So I have to do the task that I'm doing. One quick tip to help you in this: use a principle called Parkinson's Law, which just states however much time you give yourself to do something will be how much time that takes. What I mean by that is if I give myself an hour and a half to clean our kitchen, it will take me an hour and a half. If I am looking to do it in 45 minutes, I can do it in 45 minutes. It's a way to keep me focused and engaged with what I am doing and not trying to do 5 different things at the same time. Somehow watching a Whatnot show and doing dishes while taking care of children and preparing a meal, I'm not doing any of those things very well. So we use time restraints in order to help us stay focused in what it is that we are doing. So hopefully this is helpful stuff for you. This is the entire 5S model. There are layers to this, but I highly recommend just look at your business right now and see, like, where are you right now, and where are you best in your business. If you're awesome at sourcing, but you're not streaming that much, you might not be great at staging yet. So go through and write down, like, what things do I need to do to stage for a show? Then know that as you track your processes and you know what you're doing in each one of these, then you can improve upon each element of your business. Another thing is this 5S model allows you to ask questions and then identify possible ways to improve by going through each one of these. So what I mean by that is, if you're like, I am not getting very many people to my lives, I want to get more people showing up consistently. Number one is you got to go live consistently. You can't expect people to show up just because you're popping up every once in a while. I highly recommend having establish your time slot and then show up at that time so you're consistent. The next thing is that you're like, well, if I want more people, what am I doing in my sourcing phase that can help me to bring in more people? Essentially, pick up stuff that people are looking for. Staging. What can I do to stage myself, my environment, and my items to help keep people engaged with what it is I'm doing? When I'm streaming, what is my process throughout this that I can keep people more engaged and returning back? And then shipping. Obviously, if you get your stuff out quicker, and it's a great experience from beginning to end, they're more likely to show up. And then sharing. Obviously, if you want more people to show up to your show, how can you share? And simply share what it is that you're doing. This, I know on the outset of this, or just looking at it, it's really simple. But this actually goes really deep. And there's a lot of value that you can get just by identifying these areas and how you can improve in your business, because your business isn't going to grow from making coming across the next best tactic for whatever it might be. It's going to be small little improvements that you're making to each part of your business, which is entirely the 5S model. There's nothing outside of this other than tracking your numbers and understanding feedback in your analytics. That falls outside of this, but that's not really what we're talking about. I think that the biggest thing is it's difficult to you can't steer a parked car. So if you're not in motion in this, if you're not doing this regularly, just get going, and then from there you can make the adjustments along the way, instead of trying to get all this perfectly figured out and then start, because you're missing so much valuable data. And the other thing is, as well, is if you are purely just trying to think about what people might want or whatever it might be, you can guess all day long what you think you should be doing, and you can put out the perfect plan, but it will never be as good as somebody who's just trying and learning over and over and over again. So that's my little presentation for the day. If you guys have questions on this in particular or anything else, we're totally open to answering any questions. Hopefully this is helpful.
Okay, we have our first question. Allison said, can you share how you organize your items on the rack during the stream? I love the way you do it as it keeps people on to hear their size. So I am actually having a lot of revelations on my process of staging. And so it's gonna change, but what I would do before was I did not like have any specification on how I put items on the rack other than if I had like a curated finale, I put all of those at the end. And then I sort of throughout building up to the finale. Will you save me some of those? Okay. Then when I built up to the finale, I will sprinkle things before there. But other than that, I don't really like put any sort of intention into the design of my rack, but that is changing. I received so much revelation yesterday from the Lord on staging, so I'm going to be incorporating them in my next 2 lives. So be sure to go bookmark so you can see the difference. Okay. Next, can you elaborate more on the stage part?
Yeah. It's so good to have definitions for each part of your business because then you're using a language that you can identify and actually talk through. You can't solve a problem for something that is vague, ambiguous, and has no name to it. So first of all, you want to clarify, like, what am I trying to solve for here? Staging is anything after we consider our staging process to be once the items have been taken in from the car and put into the room. So staging then begins to, Jen will sort out the items based off of what show it's going to go into. She's going to, a lot of times she's already stain treating or working on, while she's sourcing, she'll apply stain remover if she knows she's going to keep the item. So she's already starting some of the staging process all the way in the sourcing phase, but that's where she's going to launder the clothes, separate them out. And then once she's done that, she's going to hang them. It's going to be lint roll, steaming to get the wrinkles out, essentially making the item look as best as possible. Also, part of staging is getting your room right. So make sure your camera angle is at a good angle, right? Do what you need to do. Get weird with it. No one can see you on the other side. You'd be surprised at what it looks like on the other side of the camera. So if the angle is weird, adjust it. Do some test runs and see how well it sounds. Have a spouse or a friend jump on Whatnot, and you can do a private stream so you can make the adjustment. Take a look at what your room is. What does it pick up from one side to another? And is that what you want to have seen? Think of it from the buyer's perspective. Think of a stage. You're essentially producing a show. And so you want to stage it so that when somebody comes into your show, what are they going to first look at? What is there music playing? What are the items look like? Is there an item that you know is going to catch people's attention? You probably want to put that in a place that can be seen majority of the time that you're streaming, right? The sequencing of your clothes. Then the last part of it is staging yourself, which is getting yourself ready. This isn't just obviously doing makeup and getting dressed, and those things are obviously important because are you trying on clothes? Is what you're wearing, you want to make sure that if you are wearing makeup, that it's something that fits the demographic that you're speaking to, and it's not detracting from the very thing that you're doing, which is showing your items in the best light possible. So you don't want extra distractions going on. And also staging your voice. Did you like warming up? Staging.
I think it's quiet.
Staging.
You get quieter.
Shh, this is a secret. All right, lean in. Staging your voice, warming up. Understand what it is that you're going to be sharing. Having even stories ready to go. Stories are a phenomenal way to be able to sell and to get people. What you're doing is you're having them try on clothes in their mind. right? When we go out and purchase a car, you test drive the car. When you go out to a store to purchase clothes, you try them on. But you can't do that live. So everything that you need to do to present the best information possible. Also, staging is going to have to do with your shipping as well, right? So you're going to stage the items so that if it sells, it goes on this rack. Therefore, it's easy to move into the shipping process. If it doesn't sell, it goes over here. If it's something that as you're going through it, you identify a major flaw that you can't overcome, then you have a donation bin because it's going to go right back out into the world.
It's all about setting up the process of each step to cohesively go together. So in my shipping room, my sold rack is directly next to my shipping table. So I'm never moving my sold items unless I'm taking them from the rack and putting them in the box. So, but as far as staging, Cass, just being super intentional with every item. I have found that like when I skip buttoning buttons or I skip steaming or I, didn't do a stain remover properly, I find that it devalues the whole process of my show. So if I feel good and confident about my items, that is going to translate to my audience. If I see beauty in an item that some people necessarily won't find beauty in, I know, Priscilla. Trust me, I get it. But she said, bro, I need to be steaming. But let me show you.
Should we go behind the scenes?
Yeah, we can.
Y'all want to see behind the scenes?
I'm literally in the staging step right now. Do you guys want to just see how I do it? Like we can literally just okay, let's do it. We're just gonna get weird with it, all right? Welcome to our home. It's very messy because we live a life.
Because we have kids, that's why.
Okay, so just be aware, JJ was in here. Sometimes I have to do staging in amongst kids, so please do not look at the condition of the room.
Judge us.
Just
Actually,
fine.
Just judge us.
Fine.
We're fine with that.
Just judge us. Fine. Okay. So I actually don't want to give away too much because I am a surprise. I really, really enjoy the surprise of my show. So essentially this is my setup. So this computer here, I'm completely seeing the entire live. I will put my iPad here, my water, and then I have my stickers. So I keep my stickers here. You guys are always facing this way. So this whole light situation, my husband just designed from box lights. We had an old, what was it? A box?
Just like a lighting box.
A light box. And so we took all of the lighting and we just put it, they're magnetic, and we just put it all around the room. So they're over here. Don't be looking. Don't be looking. Don't be looking. So let me set you guys up so you can actually. No, it's okay. I want to.
You're so nervous. I'm going to show stuff.
Yes, I am. It's very important. Okay, so this is an item that is going to be in my kids show, and it's super wrinkly. And if you guys notice, every little nuanced detail when you are showing something is so important. If I had already steamed this, but it still needs some work. But had this been super wrinkly, you can't see the detail. No one wants to stick to a show where you can't see anything. If you're not taking a legitimate pride in every single item and being like, how do I stage this perfectly? How do I get this to look as good as possible? So, you guys, I just got a game changer. If you are a steamer, I got this off of Amazon. It is a little hand mitten that you put on your hand, and I will insert my hand under the dress, and then it's like an ironing board. So I can create tension, I can create pressure. This is the steamer that I used. I do not enjoy the big, clunky, oversized steamers. I essentially view this steamer as my paintbrush. And I want to be able to maneuver it. I want to be able, it's really annoying to have to keep refilling this, but I would rather keep refilling than have this clunky, and the cord was never long enough. So I just enjoy having the mobility of this steamer. It's you press the trigger and then the steam comes out. I got this from Walmart. It's literally, I think it's Conair. I don't even know. Oh, Hamilton Beach. Hamilton Beach. So essentially, like, look, I already washed this. So, and it has a stain. I already washed it. It has a stain. And I'm not willing to, I have to give it another shot. I got to get this stain out because I don't want to have to overcome a flaw. So, if I wash it again and it doesn't come out, it's not going to make the show. So I'm going to possibly put it in like a discounted show, but I really want my staging to be super seamless where I am able to get where everything is staged perfectly. Every item is steamed beautifully, that it's properly on the hanger, and I'm looking to showcase what it is that that item features. And if you don't have good lighting, if you don't understand lighting, you want your phone, you want your light source to be behind your phone. Okay, so look, I have, well, my lights are not as bright as they normally are, but like having your light source, so all my lights are behind me, is super important. Then I use these light strips over here to create a ambiance of being able to see the detail on the rack. So I would definitely say steaming is huge, washing your items is huge, and making sure that your item is hung up properly and that you are being very specific and strategic on how you are going to show that item. So a lot of times while I'm steaming, I will practice just holding it up. Like, what do I like about this? What feature do I want to like tell people about? And I try and think of 2 to 3. And we call those value stacks. So every item you want to create a value stack, meaning what are the valuable parts of the item that you're going to share? So I will do 2 to 3 on one. So one, like, oh my goodness, this, you guys, this, it's Hannah Anderson. It's a size 10. It's so cute, and it is from summer of 21, so it's still like a really recent line. This is 100% organic cotton. Look how cute this pattern is. Oh my gosh, it has pockets. So you're just building the value, and your staging and value stacking go hand in hand. So when you're staging the item, when you're steaming it, when you're hanging it, when you're putting it in order on your rack, you are constantly going to be thinking of, how do I sell this? How do I build the value in this item to be able to give the best quality to my customer?
So this is where controllable wins come in,
Mhm.
right?
You wanna come
Controllable
in here?
wins. Sure. Your controllable wins are going to be your how you judge whether or not you did well.
Mhm.
Hi, sweet girl.
Hi. Can't she?
No, because
No, because
she's still napping. So you got to wait for a bit. Okay.
Sorry, we're
Hi,
parenting
just-
as well.
Like 30 more minutes?
I don't
No,
know
baby,
what
she
time
gets
does.
up at 4.
Yeah.
So
So
in
wait
an
till
hour.
4.
Mhm.
No, they said come after 3:30. They always say that.
Okay,
Okay,
so
great.
then
You
you
can go
can
back
go back over in 20 minutes. Okay.
So
Yes, we do homeschool.
So identify your controllable wins, meaning I'm going to share 3 unique features about this item. Think of this like I was talking about earlier.
Mhm.
When you go buy a car,
Love it, Merritt. Love that.
You test drive it. When you're trying on clothes, or you try on clothes when you go out to buy clothes at a brick and mortar store, right? But it's a little bit more difficult when you're purchasing something online. So you want to give them the most that you can. One point I ran a sales team and we sold to small businesses. We sold Verizon internet and phone and TV, all that to small businesses. And my my team that would listen to me on the most important thing was to create a way that they can envision themselves in it. You need them to try it on.
Mhm.
And internet's just, it's not a thing. You can't hold the internet, right? But it's so necessary.
Yeah.
So you don't talk about just internet speeds. You talk about it in terms of what specifically they would be using the internet for, right? So even use stuff like, can you imagine, or just get them to envision. You got to get them to try it on in their minds.
Mhm.
Same thing, Pastry D. How would you go about selling food?
I want to answer.
Can I
Yeah.
throw some
You
stuff
wanna-
out?
Sure.
Same process. So if you're staging that, make sure the lighting is awesome.
Mhm.
Make sure, and you're gonna need to be able to get them to try the food without actually trying it. So I would go through and actually write down how you would describe something, because it's going to be the words that they're hearing
Mhm.
that it gives them the ability to try your food in their mind, right? And then another thing I was just thinking that would be helpful is your word of mouth. So if you have people that you know are have some sort of audience already, and it's the same audience of who you are looking to sell food to, send them some samples and get them to describe the very thing. That's how I would go about doing food.
I would I would do like a cook with me style live where you are cooking pastry, you're making pastries, but don't share the specifics of your measurements. Just be like, okay, I'm gonna put flour in now and I'm gonna put salt or whatever. And then you load your buy it now with the recipes and you will mail them the recipe. Or if it's like a shippable item, like it's not gonna go bad, like your jam or your apple butter. Yes, we all want more pastry apple butter. And I would just get creative with that. That's another thing that artists can do is you can literally draw on camera and then sell the print after. I know, you guys. Oh, my kid show, I moved it. Yesterday evening, I had so many revelations around how I want to run my show and staging that I was like, I'm not gonna do a live. I'm gonna recalibrate what I am doing. I'm going to put a process in place. And my next kid show is Sunday morning. So tomorrow evening is my vintage women's. It's going to be fire. I found so much 70s and I'm really, really, really going to level up. Like I just have so much clarity. Yes, use Steam graphic tees. It's so good. It literally levels everything up. Steamers are $20 too. They have small ones. Yes, I feel like steamers don't work very well. Don't work very well. I've tried so many of them. Merritt, I would say to that it could not like it might be you and not understanding how to properly steam the item. A lot of times when you're steaming, tension is so important. So if you are trying to get wrinkles out, like trying to steam like this is not a good way. But if you pull here and you create tension and you put friction against your tension, you're gonna be able to get the wrinkle out way easier. You know what I mean? So like I think there's different ways. And this thing was like $4.99 on Amazon. It's legit. It's a freaking game changer. I'm like, how did I go this long without it?
So these processes right here, what's so cool about this is you can, once you have your process down of how you're doing this, now
Sorry,
you
babe.
can change you can grow your business now because there's a process that we have for staging a show. Then later we can have other people come in and help us in doing those, or same thing with shipping.
Mhm.
Staging and shipping are probably the first two areas of your business that you could hire somebody in-house to come in and help you with. And then what's cool about this as well, and you've probably already seen this on other channels, you can eventually, if you have your processes and your systems down and you know what you're doing, you can bring on other sellers if you have just a tremendous amount of inventory.
Mhm.
So we break down the 5S model so that we can talk specifically about what we're trying to solve for.
Mhm.
So using that language helps us and our brains to come up with specific tasks or actions we can take to improve our business instead of being like, I'm just trying to get more people to my show.
But you have no strategy.
Yeah, but you don't,
so
and
then
you don't
when
know
no
where you
one,
are in the process.
So then when no one comes up, you're like, I'm doing everything I can. No, you're not. You're not doing everything that you can. You're not looking at your business as something that you're testing. All you're doing in your business is testing. Do you guys want this? Okay, no one wanted it. I'm not going to pick up it anymore. Or say you show it multiple times, you show one item multiple times, have it 3 be your limit. I show it 3 times. If it doesn't sell, I donate it or take it to a buy sell trade store or do something else with it. But you got to look at your business in the 5S model, and you have to be honing those things in. The viewership of how many people are coming to your show is determined by how well you execute each level of the 5S model. It will come. Your focus is not to get people in, it's to focus on the 5S model and doing each one of those consistently, cohesively, over and over and over while looking at your data.
So look at this. This live reselling is not the same as learning a skill like driving a car or doing something else that you just go through the motions.
Mhm.
I think any of us who've been driving for years have been driving a car before and then get to our location. We're like, I don't even remember driving here because
Mhm.
it's subconscious.
It's automatic.
If you run your reselling business by doing the same thing over and over and you're not identifying by stopping and working on your business, not just in your business,
Mhm.
you will just repeat the same thing over and over. And your baseline, let's say your baseline is 10 people, your baseline will roughly remain the same unless you're consciously going through and looking for ways to improve. That's why we break it down into the 5S model, because you may not recognize it, but what you do in your sourcing affects your engagement. What you do in your staging affects your engagement. What you're
Mhm.
doing in each one of these. So don't look at this as like, oh, I've been reselling for 5 years.
Mhm.
That's like, I remember, so I'm a musician, I play guitar, and I've played in bands, I've played at studios, all sorts of things. And one indication that I learned really quickly is when somebody's like, I've been playing guitar for 25 years. That sounds amazing, but that doesn't mean anything.
Mhm.
Truly doesn't, unless you have deliberate practice, unless you're deliberately looking for ways to improve.
Mhm.
You can play the guitar for 25 years and honestly be worse than you were year 2, right?
Mhm.
So look at the same thing with your business. Don't go into autopilot mode.
Mhm.
Don't do the same things week in and week out and think that maybe it's one random tactic that you're not employing. Maybe you're not doing, if I was part of a raid train, then
Mhm.
that would change my business.
Mhm.
No, if somebody raided me with 100 people, that would change my business.
Mhm.
Mm-mm. Nope.
Mhm.
You should know what your baseline is. If you get raided with 100 people and you have 30 when you start, so you get 130 people total, your baseline is wherever that falls to, probably within the next 15 to 30 minutes.
Mhm.
If you're back at 30, that's your baseline. Cool.
Mhm.
Now you know. Well, don't look at your business as I'm just waiting for that right opportunity.
Mm.
Once I get to this place, then I'll do it. That's like saying once I am in shape, I'll start going to the gym.
Mhm.
And once the NBA brings me on, then I'm going to show them.
Mhm.
No, you got to go pro first in your mind and be like, I'm going to consciously each week look at ways of improving my business, even if it's little things.
Mhm.
Little things like this little Silpat thing.
Mhm. You're not gonna be able to show them.
There's just a little silicone mat that I put on top of her stand because she was like, my
I can
iPad
just show
keeps
you like
slipping
this.
off. My iPad keeps falling off. This little mat right here, we already had these, just went and found them and put one on here so that her stuff doesn't slip all over. So it's like slip resistant. She's like, that's a game changer. Or the lights. The lights were stuff that we already had. So look for what you have in your
Be
environment to
creative.
improve it.
Like, you don't need to go out and buy a bunch of
Mhm.
equipment in order to go live. I think the biggest struggle, I don't think we know, we've talked to enough live resellers who struggle to go live. It is because you don't feel confident in the 5S model. You don't feel comfortable with each step, so you get stuck on one and then you never go to streaming. So you're sourcing, you're staging, but you don't stream. So you keep sourcing and then you keep staging, but you never stream. Like, it's so important to understand your business and compartmentalize it into sections that are easily to identify. And you got to look at it, each one, as like putting on a hat. Okay, I'm putting on my sourcing hat. What are the things that I need to do to make sure I am sourcing efficiently, and just continually tweak those things in all of the models?
Cassie, you asked, like, do you think with sourcing you get better the more you do it, seeing what sells and what doesn't? 100%. That is the game. I think, honestly, I'm going to speak very directly. I think people think that they're better than they actually are, or they think that their audience is just not sophisticated enough. They're not buying it. Y'all are dumb. This is a good item. You should buy this. And if you don't, it's your fault. No, it's not. Your stuff, you're probably just not as good as you think you are. Your stuff just isn't as good as you think you are. Stay humble and be like, we have a principle that we say the audience is genius. I learned this from a John Mayer clinic where he's talking about writing songs. And he says most musicians think that the audience is dumb because they can't write songs. They don't know all the different instruments and how to layer it. So the audience is dumb. He's like, no, the audience is genius. They know what they like and they know what they don't like. And if they don't like your songs, it's not because they're dumb. It's because your songs suck. That's why. And to be, once you like really take that on and not take it personally, like an identity thing, then that's where you can then begin improving. That's where you can truly come in and be like, okay, I just showed 100 items. A few of these items nobody wanted. Great. Either I didn't have enough people or the right audience to put this in front of, or it's not a good item and I need to just cut my losses and I just need to
Sorry. Go ahead.
I just need to donate this and move along. Are we there?
I'm trying. There we go.
There we go. So don't take it personally. Don't take feedback personally.
Yeah.
The quickest way that you can move through it is truly just looking at, like we say, don't be romantic about anything.
Nothing.
There's nothing that we're attached to. That item that you're like, this is for sure, it's got to go over $100. Maybe, maybe not. It is for sure. Why? Well, because on Poshmark, we're not on Poshmark.
Yeah, we're in a completely different market.
Don't try to hybrid this. Don't think that your Poshmark audience is going to do the same thing as this one is. If you want to get good at live reselling, then you need to separate out those two and realize one is different than the other. Also, I will say, if you are doing traditional reselling and live reselling, be careful, because there's a danger in doing that, because what you're going to do is you're going to give yourself an out, meaning you can justify your crappy item that isn't selling, even though you've shown it 3 times live. You can justify it by saying, I have another place that I can sell this. Okay, well, that doesn't give you any feedback, and then you just justify it. That's like being, you have to fully commit into this and understand that this is different than traditional reselling.
And you have to be okay with trying to figure out what the market wants. You can't go to your Poshmark audience and be like, they love Lululemon, so I'm going to bring Lululemon, and I expect the same outcome of this audience. You can't do that. You have to, if you want to go pro with live reselling, you can only go live, because you are going to be competing with someone like me who does not have her fingers in any other pots other than live selling. I am going to be making way different decisions than you are, because you're going to be sourcing for Poshmark. You're going to be sourcing sourcing for Instagram, you're going to be sourcing for whatever audience you have on another platform. And I'm going to be simply sourcing for one audience, and I'm following the data, following the data. So I'm going to outperform you every single time. Every
just
time.
just because of that loop that you go through, that improvement loop, so you're
Mhm.
learning quickly. Somebody said, how do you keep the momentum of staying on longer than an hour or two?
Mm,
Think of this as like conditioning, right?
mhm,
It may not be necessary to go on for longer than an hour or two,
mhm,
because you are going to want to keep, again, going back to your controllable wins, you're going to want to understand where you're at, where your audience is. For
mhm,
example, she's doing kid shows and she finds a certain time everything just kind of falls off, so
mhm,
which makes sense because they're parents, so their schedules are going to be different based off of whether or not they have kids. So
mhm,
um, understand that you may not need to go for like an hour or two. Now, granted, we received a ton of feedback when we first started, when she first started on Whatnot, because she was doing 6 hours. She's done up to 12 hours straight.
mhm.
Not necessary, but if that's something that you want to do,
But we were
look at
getting
it
the
like,
data.
mm-hmm,
We were doing $1 starts for the data.
mm-hmm,
That's the thing, is so many resellers on Whatnot or on live streaming platforms want to be like, I want to get the most I can. This this retails for $59, and I saw that it sold on Poshmark for 30. So I want 30. And you guys start your bids too high, too high. Your items are not as good as you think. You need to do low starts, high volume, see what works, read the data, who is buying what, what's the most popular brands, styles, sizes. Then you can start to get creative. Then you can start to paint a picture and do these themed curated shows. But you can't do a curated show and expect your audience to be fully engaged from start to finish on an idea that you just thought of.
mm-hmm.
You have to have the data. What does the data say? What does the market say? What are they saying about your business and how you should source?
So you're just a student, and if you're a student of the game, if you just
Mhm,
keep doing that over and over, because it's kind of hard, because there's no, in traditional games, finite
mhm,
games, for example, like a basketball game, you know what the scoreboard is, you know what
mhm,
the how many fouls each of the team has, all the stats is a
mhm,
little bit different when you're selling here. So make sure that your scoreboard is set up for you to continually learn from your business. It's
mhm.
all about in learning,
And you
like,
gotta read your
and
data.
be
You
and
gotta
be
learn how to read your data.
mm,
I lack
um,
in confidence department, but you're getting
cool.
there,
I
Cass. You're
want to talk
getting there.
about this for a second. So
The confidence?
mhm.
Okay.
So you're going to. This is where number one, I think having the support group is awesome,
Mhm,
for reselling. But number two is don't. I feel because you're standing in front of a camera and you're talking with people
mhm,
and you're receiving live feedback, it can feel it's a very vulnerable position to be in. You're putting yourself out there,
mhm,
but approach it like you only gain confidence through the competence of doing what you're doing. So as you improve, that's why we're so big on controllable wins,
mhm,
because if you are tying your confidence to an external result based off of how many people are showing up to your show,
mhm,
what kind of items you've been sourcing
mhm,
compared to everyone else, how much you're making per item, how long you can go for, any of these things that you can't necessarily control.
mhm,
um, we don't gain our confidence from that, because if you tie your confidence to an external uncontrollable result,
mhm,
your confidence is going to go up and down.
mhm.
Whereas if you tie your confidence to, did I do the dang thing?
Did I
Yes.
follow my step by
Yes.
step
Hmm.
process in a show? Did I do my controllable
Yeah.
wins? Then I won.
Then you won, and that's it. Like, straight up, not like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. No,
Mhm,
we straight up live by this.
mhm,
We don't ever look at this of, we look at the data, we look
mhm.
at the numbers,
And
we
we
track that,
adjust.
but our ability, what happened, the scoreboard at the end of the game has nothing to do with who we are.
Mhm,
It has to do with going back through and writing down. Jen does a show journal and says, here are my controllable wins. This is what I'm going to focus on. And then at the end of it, she goes back through and says, what were my positive highlights of my show? And did I hit my controllable wins? If you hit your controllable win, which could be as simple as I'm going to show every item on my rack. I'm going to do it in a fun, engaging way.
Mhm.
And I'm going to keep my momentum throughout the show. And this is my process for doing that.
Mhm.
If you did that, then you won.
Mhm.
Now you can go back through and say, what can I go back through and improve upon? What's
Mhm.
something that am I going too fast? Do I need to slow down?
Mhm.
Did I have good enough stories that
That's why
helped?
it's
Did I help
so
them to visually put on the item?
so important to watch your film back. I watch every single one of my lives, sometimes 2 to 3, 4 times, because I'm looking for that one little word that I say too much, or ums, or us, or
Sorry. Oh,
sorry. Oh my
sorry.
gosh, I'm so sorry.
Sorry.
I'm working on it, all right? I'm working
No,
on it.
she's done great on it. And she was really open. I would just provide her at the end of the show. I'd just
Mhm.
say, hey, here's some things I would work on.
Mhm.
Here's what you did really well. Guys, this works across the board. This is what I did with my sales team. We would listen to a call and say, hey, this is what you did. This is
Mhm.
what you did really well. This is the process you're following, and you did that really well.
Mhm.
Here's some of the areas that you can improve upon. What one thing are you going to do on your next call?
Mhm.
I'm going to do this. Great. Keep doing all the things that were working and
Mhm.
add that one thing in.
Mhm.
And then they do it. And those who did that over a few
You're
weeks,
talking about your coaching group. Okay.
over a few weeks, you would see that somebody would improve just by little, by little, by little. That's the game right there.
Mhm.
But you cannot tie your confidence to an external result. Be home at 6.
Yep.
Okay.
You're gonna
Or if you
eat.
change locations.
Yep. And call us.
Okay.
Have a good time, baby. One person said, how do you keep and maintain that? She's saying, like, when your viewership doesn't go up and you are doing your controllable wins, how do you continually create momentum to do it? I think one thing that is super beneficial about our private coaching group, if any of you are interested, the link is in my bio of my Instagram. All the information's in the show notes if you guys are interested, or if you have questions, just hit me up. But one of the best things about our private coaching group is the support and understanding that everyone's journey looks different, but everyone has started where you're starting. Everyone has had to suck in order to get good at it. And you just kind of have to be like, I gotta suck it up. I gotta stop being a baby and I gotta go live as much as possible. And I need to do iterations of my 5 steps, the step-by-step process of each category in your business, and you just constantly improve that and let the results of that improvement come as they will. There's no way for you to control that. You're not going to know when you're going to have 46 people in your life. You're not going to know when that is.
So KDB curates what I'd say, because you said I've only done 5 shows and it's been hard because sometimes I see there's no one watching, but I'm still pretending and showing the items in case they come. I love that.
Mhm.
Then go back through and look at your show. This is probably I think the hardest thing for most people is to go back through and listen to their voice, see what they
Mhm.
look like on camera. You can record all of your shows and go back through and watch them. You can set it so that your past shows show up. Go back through and watch those and just look for one way to improve,
Mhm.
because the mindset, anytime it's tied to, if our mindset and our confidence is tied to an external result,
Mhm.
no matter how good you're doing, there's going to be this up and this down.
Mhm.
Whereas if you tie it to, I'm going to improve in just one way,
Mhm.
because I'm willing to bet that there's probably some ways that you can improve, either engaging with people in some way, or your cadence of how you're speaking, or it might be items. So go back through that 5S and say, okay, this is hard to do because people aren't showing up.
Mhm.
Now I'm going to go through. Am I sourcing the right items? When I stage my items, are they set up properly? How's my camera angle?
Mhm.
Any little thing that you can do to improve,
Mhm.
make that your game. Your
Mhm.
game is just to make little improvements.
Mhm.
And eventually you'll get a couple more people. The other thing is too, is if you've made sales, what can you do to get return buyers? That's the whole name of the game. For us, it's market data and getting return buyers.
Mhm.
That's the whole game for us. So I highly recommend just going through and looking for little ways that you can improve and literally make that your win, regardless of who's showing up. That way, as you're continually improving and you're really seeking that, you will eventually improve, and you're being honest with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not tied in with this identity thing and like, maybe I'm not cut out for it. Maybe it's this, maybe it's because I have brown hair and she has blonde hair. That's probably no, it's probably has to do with something in your, either what you're sourcing, how you're staging them, or it's something to do, and how can you fix that? Another thing that we talk about is getting yourself in the right space. So before you go on live, part of your staging process, go listen to something that is something
Gets
you want
into state.
Yeah, if
You're trying to get into state.
if you love humor and you love stand-up, watch your favorite stand-up comedian before going live and get into that state of that, right? Because a lot of times we move from staging, which Jen and I talk about, she would move from staging where she is like running around and like steaming items and getting all ready, and then it's like, okay, my show's in 10 seconds, and going live and hey everyone, welcome in.
He loves this example. He loves
real
this
life.
example.
It's real life. And that's not setting yourself up. If you're going to come into your show and you're stressed out, like nobody wants to come in and see somebody that's like stressed out already off the bat. So you can go back through and look through your process, and just by asking yourself questions about each one of those 5 S's, that will really help. In addition to that, look, like this is a business, so you need to market it. That's why we are big advocates of the sharing portion of it. Again, just show what it is that you're doing. Take some of what you assume are your best pieces and share that in some way, right? Share it, Instagram, TikTok, whatever you do.
So Pierre says, okay, Grace, I actually do have a question. Now I will usually allow myself 1 to 3 promotes a show depending on traction. What's your advice on promoting? I love the promote feature. I use it to attract new buyers. I'm not using it for viewership. I already have the viewership. People are showing up. So my main intention to use the promoting feature, now there's 2 different features. You can boost your show for 15 minutes, meaning you'll be in the top slot of your category, which I don't do because I've already built the audience enough that I'm already the top spot. So I don't have to worry about that. But I do use promotion, and we've been talking about really bumping up the promotion and doing a certain percentage of our earnings and investing it back into promotion so that we can get those new buyers. Our whole goal, your goal as a seller on Whatnot or live streaming, is to obtain return buyers. That is your whole goal. That is why I do $1 or $5 starts. And I am constantly testing. And when a new buyer comes, because of all the data and the testing that I've done, they're like, oh my gosh, I want to come back. So your goal is to create and curate a show that your market, your audience, your data is telling you to curate, and more people will come. The bidding culture is so, so important. When you first start out, you're going to have one person, and then you're going to have another return buyer, and they're going to bid against each other. And then you get another return buyer, and another, and another, and another. And then when you go live, you're going to have 6 to 7 return buyers bidding against each other. But if you don't do the small, if you don't do the nitty gritty, the details of your business and establish an order in your business, you're never going to get to where you want to go.
That's a good answer. So Katie, the 5 S's are this. Number 1, source. That's you finding the items. 2 is staging. That's you preparing yourself, your items, and your environment to show it in the best light possible. 3 is the streaming, where you're actually doing it, like what we're doing right now. 4th is to ship. There's a ton of value in shipping. Go through and be analytical about what happened, what sold, what didn't sell. Know your sell-through rate, meaning how many items did you have for sale, and then how many did you actually sell. Take the number that you sold and divide it by how many items you had for sale, and look at your sell-through rate. That's a really good indication.
We look at that every show, every single show.
And the last S is share. Document what it is that you're doing, and then share that. Hey, this is something that I learned, and then I am applying to my business.
Mhm.
It's as simple as that. It really is. And then go through that iteration as many times as possible
Mhm.
and ask yourself, what can I do better in my sourcing, which I learned from doing streaming and my shipping.
Will you
What
write
can I-
it out so they
Sure.
can see? I don't know what you want to write it on. Maybe just right here.
Let's move back into the other
Okay.
area. of the room.
We're gonna move into where the whiteboard is so y'all can see the 5S model. It's kind of hard to talk about it when we don't have a visual.
All right, sorry for the whiplash.
Yeah.
Hang on, y'all.
Sorry. There you go.
All right. Not sure how we had this set up before.
It was on the ground. Oh, Gracie left the door open.
All right.
Oh my gosh.
What?
SJ just mailed me 140 pounds of clothes.
Whoa.
Did y'all hear that? Look at this. Look at what's on my freaking porch right now. This is wild. So SJ, she is my reigning champ of my #1 buyer on Whatnot. Look at this. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Most of the items she sent to me, you guys, she bought from me. So I'm getting recycled items. Amazing. That's the thing. Build your presence on Whatnot, and then all of a sudden you have all this deal flow. Deal flow meaning people want to send you inventory. People want to help you. When you are established as a seller, you are going to create deal flow.
Yep. As long as you're good at what you're doing,
Mhm.
right? This is a 5S model.
Uh-huh.
Katie, source, stage, stream, share.
Mhm.
This is going to go on our past shows.
Mhm.
So you can go back through and watch this if you want.
We're a little too high. Reed Love Coquette. She had a
How do you
question.
angle your cameras and what do you use to put your camera on?
Is this too low?
We have a tripod. We have multiple tripods that we use.
Mhm.
Definitely use for the first little bit, use money that comes in to make little improvements to what you're doing.
Uh-huh.
So it might be getting a tripod, or you might get creative at the beginning. So
Mhm.
how do you angle your cameras?
Up and down, as vertical as possible. If I need to tilt it down, I have like a little handle on the back of my stand and I'll tilt it down. But if you angle your camera in a weird way and it catches the light, you do not want that. It's going to disrupt, especially black when you're showing black. So you need to have your camera here, up and down, vertical, and your light source behind your camera. If you have your light source up here and your camera is here, it's gonna create weird casting. So really important to do that staging step of what is the parameter of my phone? What are people seeing? What does the lighting look like? Can they actually see my item?
Yeah.
What's up?
Also, look at this like I think of a restaurant.
Mhm.
So if you're gonna run a restaurant and somebody for the streaming and the staging portion, if somebody comes into your restaurant and have you guys ever walked into a food place and there's no music playing? It's weird. It feels eerie. I didn't even recognize it until I'd gone into a place that wasn't playing music. So be aware of the very first impression that somebody comes into your show, they will click out of your show so fast. There's no obligation to stay. So what does it look like when somebody first comes into your show? Is there something that they can actually look at, right? Is there music playing? Are there times that you leave? And I've dropped into shows before and there's no one there and there's no music. And it's kind of like what it would feel like where you are like, oh, I'm going to a party. And then you walk into someone's home. And you're like, is this the right address? Like, yeah, but there's no music and there's not much going on. Like, understand those first impressions make a big difference. So if you're same thing, if you walk into a restaurant, I use the restaurant analogy because we talk about keeping control over your show and your process.
Mhm.
We don't let We don't want our buyers to come in and determine what the experience is like. That would be like running a restaurant and somebody comes in and they're like, hey, what kind of food do you guys have here? And you're like, well, what do you like? Well, I like Indian food and I like sushi. You're like, okay, hold on 1 second. Let me see what I have in the back. Let me go talk to the chef. I'll be back. When you come back, I'm not going to be there. I'm not going to shop I'm not getting food from a place that you don't know what your specialty is or the experience. And there's no like, so where do I sit? Like, people want to be guided through an experience. So create that experience for them based off of who you are. What kind of experience would you like? So something to keep in mind is that you want to keep people engaged in your shows by guiding the experience. As I'm saying this, we don't even have music playing right now. You should put on some FKJ.
Alexa, shuffle songs by FKJ.
Pierre, thank you. I'm glad this has been helpful. We really hope that this is helpful for y'all. We want
to establish a winning playing field on Whatnot.
Yeah.
We want to play with the best of the best. I don't want to play with a girl who's sitting on her floor selling unfolded wrinkly clothes with her bedroom lamp.
So
I want to throw down. I want to see who is the best. And I want to help you guys level up so we can freaking all win together.
So here's so Stylish Treasures, do you recommend putting a ring light behind the camera then, or fine set and holder?
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have to play around with your room.
Mm-hmm.
And like, even for example, the lighting in here right now.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a window right here, and it's a cloudy day. So there's light coming in here, but our board right now our kitchen light is reflecting off of this board.
Mm-hmm.
If we want to be better at doing these Q&As, we're going to identify this and be like, well, they can't do that. They can't see.
Mm-hmm.
Let's turn off that light and see if that helps. So all you're doing is testing. So I don't know, other than we have used a ring light.
Mm-hmm.
When we do the coaching stuff, I use a ring light, but she doesn't use a ring light when she's streaming for her Whatnot shows. It didn't work. But we mess around with it all the time. If you guys even understood how much we go back through and redo so much things, change things, adjust this, and just constantly looking for tiny little ways to improve.
And so many people look at us and they're so lucky. Nope, we're not lucky. We're just willing to do the work that others are not willing to do. We're willing to watch our film 3 to 4 times and see me stumble on camera and use words that I use entirely too much. And I'm willing to sit through it because I want to be the best. I want to be the best.
Yeah.
That's my goal.
And not the best not external stuff, but you know that where you can improve and what you could do.
Mm-hmm.
So number one, I want to say something real quick and then I'm going to go back to questions.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all, here's what's going to happen. Mark my words, okay?
The future of Whatnot?
This is the future of Whatnot. This is what's going to happen. Y'all, we are at the beginning of this app. This is a new thing. It's not new in China, by the way. This is new here in the US. And I know it's been around for a couple of years, but it still hasn't caught on as big as it could possibly go. If you want to know the details of that, we're going deep into that. Mm-hmm. In our coaching group to understand how big this market is. Mm-hmm. I'll just tell you it's massive. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely huge. And if you invest your time into learning the skills of doing this, it will absolutely pay off. Mm-hmm. With that said, what that means is if you look at an app like eBay or Airbnb or YouTube, this is something that we talk about in our coaching group all the time, which is this, we're at the beginning of it. At the beginning, anything goes. You can do whatever you like.
It's a wild west.
Over time. So eBay at the first, just take like one pixelated photo, put it up on eBay. You could possibly sell that. On Airbnb, rent out the shed in your backyard that has a twin mattress laying on the floor. Somehow people will rent it out. YouTube, just use your phone and you don't have to do anything else other than talk. And at the beginning, that worked. Mm-hmm. Over time, buyers and sellers become more sophisticated. Mm-hmm. So right now, we're in the time that you can get on and learn really quickly and go through that process without, there's not like the bar isn't being set, right now it'd be really difficult to get on Airbnb and put up your home, the room in your basement that doesn't have any windows in it, and think that somehow you're going to compete with the person who's renting out a full house as a pool table and a hot tub and is right next to a tennis court or whatever it might be. So we're at the beginning of this. Take this opportunity now to suck. Like, take this opportunity now
Suck
to just
while no one is watching.
while no one's paying attention and the bar's set low, so that you can learn how to do this well.
And then when the wave comes of live selling, you're going to be ready, you're going to have a system, and you're going to be able to handle the influx of buyers. You're not going to get drowned out by how sophisticated the market is going to become. It is going to be the norm to have 3,000 to 5,000 people in a live. That will be the norm. And if you're not doing this, if you're not running your business off of tangible steps, you're gonna lose, because your emotions will drown you out every single time. And I'm gonna be making more moves, and I'm gonna be leaps and bounds ahead of you.
But not because of any inherent talents or skills, but because of what we're talking about, which is, don't worry about what everyone else is doing. Focus on how you can improve one thing, and you keep showing up and doing that, and then go through this iteration as much as you possibly can. Try to get this thing spinning at the level that you can. So Dolly's Place said, how do you feel about those $1 starts? We started with $1 starts. I think this is the starting bid question can be difficult to answer without putting some context to it. So here's why we did low starts and still continue to do low starts.
Mm-hmm.
We were doing $1 starts because we had a massive amount of inventory. We had like 7,000 items. We were already in profit with all of those items because we've been selling them and reinvesting and then selling more. We had 2 storage units full of this stuff. So it made sense for us to get rid of our storage units, bring everything back home, and to go through and get rid of as much stuff as possible. Is that okay?
That was me. Sorry.
Okay. So the reason why we did $1 starts is for 2 reasons and 2 reasons alone. So when you say, what do you think about it? This is what I think. If your model is to try to get as much as you can per item, then you probably shouldn't do $1 starts unless you already have an audience built in. If your goal is like our goal, which is we want repeat buyers and we want market data, then 100% do $1 starts as long as it doesn't kill your business, right? Because I don't know your business. I don't know where you're at. I don't know what you're buying stuff for, but we are in the game of getting as many return buyers as possible. And we do that by identifying what it is that they like based off of not what they tell us, not in the chat being like, the item's so cute, but they don't buy it. Did it sell?
Did it bid up?
Did they take action on it? If they did not, no matter how much your girlfriend says it is so cute, it doesn't matter. You got to go off of what the market is telling you through how they vote with their dollar, right? And market data. We want to learn rapidly. That's all we're trying to do. We're trying to go through this thing so we could rapidly learn what is working and then eliminate what doesn't work. And you're going to see the biggest jumps in your business when you identify the 80% of your business that is useless. And here's the thing, that 80% of your business might possibly include your favorite pieces of your business, but you have to be, I don't want to say ruthless, but like you almost do. You need to look at your business as a way of just being like, this is either working or it's not working. And I can't be romantic about this.
Stop being a baby.
Stop
being a baby and look at your business and really function within your business like a business owner.
And not in a way of like, I've always done this and it's the way that I feel most comfortable. Maybe that will work, maybe it won't. So I have a super difficult time figuring out my setup because I sell handmade and I sell so many different kinds of things. I recommend identifying a category. It's difficult to sell a variety of different things because you don't know what's working and what's not working. So we try to hone in. That's why we have these processes, because we can't fix random. We don't know like, well, why did this work so well? Was it because of, I'll give you an example. If every time you go sourcing, you're sourcing different items. Every time you stage, you're setting it up in a different place of your house. When you do stream, it's at a different time every week. And then when you ship, your process changes each time. And when you share, you're sharing just random things and there's no process of doing it. You can't test your business because there's no consistency to actually see if it's working or not. You have to have a consistent thing that you're doing and then you can test against that. You can't test randomness because it could be anything. And so if you have a bunch of different items that you're selling, I recommend that you dial in on just a few of those things until that thing works. Or you find out it doesn't work and then you pivot from there. But it's really hard to do like the Walmart approach of being like, oh, I sell everything. That's really difficult to do because people want to show up and know what they're showing up to. That's kind of like that restaurant that serves any type of food that you want. Probably not the best at any of those things, right? I don't want to go to a place that does the burgers, Indian food, sushi, and Mexican food because I don't think that they do any of those very well. I want to go to the place for this. So identify what that is, and that might just require some testing, or you separate those out into categories and then do those same types of items, those handmade items, do similar ones for each show that you're doing, not all in the same show. And then lock in your show time so you can test and see what's working. Hopefully that helps.
What does it say?
I'm shopping, Vero. I can't listen, I think. I don't know. I need to work on my Spanish.
Okay.
But I think that or at the store.
This is Gina.
Hi, Gina. I was just thinking today as a buyer, I love the structure of your show, and Kofi Vintage has the same structure, but it's exciting because you don't know what's coming. I love the element of anticipation mixed with an element of consistency, right? Something that is constant. So you know what to expect, but you also don't know what to expect. I don't. So on average, I pay $3 per item. So Gina, I love that too, because I want to know, again, if we use that restaurant analogy, and they have their, we have this really good Mexican place, taqueria, and they have, depending on the fish that they get, they'll do different types of fish tacos. You don't know what you're going to get, but the consistency is, it's probably the best taco in town. And so finding those ways that you can add in elements of surprise that keep people coming back. Y'all remember, like, it's hard to explain to my 7-year-old daughter, but like if you wanted to watch an episode of something and it was on at 6:30 on Friday night, that's when you had to watch it, or you had to record that thing. I think now this is kind of this resurgence of that, where it's like, I don't want to miss this show because I have to be there live in order to watch it. Now my daughter she does not understand. She's like, I don't know what you mean. I'm like, you can't just pick anything and watch it whenever you want. We had to wait. And she's like, I don't understand what you're talking about. So Cher says on average I pay $3 per item. Maybe start with a $5 start so you don't go in the hole. We are okay with losing a little bit of money on okay, I'm going to take a step back. Number one, we don't look at each item that we buy and say, oh, she bought this here, it was $7, and then she bought this one here, and that was $3. And then we go back through and look and say, well, this $3 one sold for $10, so we made $7 on this, and then this $7 item sold for $10, so we made $3. So we don't do that. It's too much to try to go through. So what we do is say, here's the average cost per piece. So all the stuff she goes out, she takes pictures of her receipts, and she tells me how many items she got. Then at the end of the month or the week or whatever cycle we're working on, I can tell her specifically what her cost per piece is on average. Then we're looking for an average earnings per piece across the board, across kids shows and women's shows, right? And so that way we're not trying to make money off of each thing. We're just trying to like generally directionally be correct. We're not trying to make the most off of every item. What we're trying to do is get market feedback. That's all we're trying to do, and seeing what works and what doesn't work, and then not lose our butts in the process of doing that. We don't want to lose money while doing that, but we will.
We want to keep our butts.
Yeah, we want to keep our butts.
We don't want to lose our butts.
Yeah. But I think $3 or $5 is a good start bid price. I think so too, Pierre. I think that only if you're coming in with the true mindset of I'm looking for repeat buyers and I'm looking for market data. Because if you do that and you just keep selling it and everything goes, you're doing $5 starts and everything goes for $5, you might be onto something and you just don't have enough people in your show, or they're not really that great of items. And so but again, you have to have this mentality of like, I'm here to learn. I'm just here to get better and better.
We are just learners. You're just trying to figure out what works, what doesn't, and be unemotional about it.
The high-end hoarder says, why is everything so cheap? I don't sell cheap stuff, so how can I be successful on here? So there is a market for everyone on here. You just have to be in front of the right people. In order to get in front of the right people, you might have to, again, we go through and we use what we have in order to learn more. So we don't look at the money that we make in the business as the only factor. We honestly look at more of like what our repeat buyer rate is, and what our earnings per piece is, and whether those things are going up or they're going down. We look at our sell-through rate. And so at first, honestly, in some of these scenarios, in order to get the audience, you have to go low at first. But here's the thing. If you start an item at $1 and it bids up to $10, if you started that same item at $5 and it's not going to go up $5 more. It's most likely $10 was that amount. And so whether it's $5 or $10, whatever your starting bid is, figure out what isn't going to kill your business, but also be prepared to not try to make money. If you come in here with the idea like I need to make money day one, you can do that, and I wish you the best of luck. But I think it's really difficult to come in with that mindset because it's an external result. And if you don't come in as a student mentality, just be like, I'm here to learn the game and I'm here to grow and get better, and I'm going to do the basic things over and over again, I think it can be really difficult to push through and have that mindset last. I've talked to a lot of people that are like, yeah, I'm not willing to do that. That's totally fine. That's absolutely fine. You don't have to do lower starts. You don't have to do this process, but don't get mad at the game. Don't get mad that it's like, well, it's too hard to do that. Well, for a period of time, but now if Jen were to go do $1 starts, she does $5 starts. But if she did $1 starts, we wouldn't worry that we were going to lose money. The other thing is too, is if you're tied to that, your buyer experience is not, if your confidence and feelings of success are tied to your item and what you're getting for that, and you do lower start bids and it doesn't go for that, your face, the micro expressions on your face are representing that to a buyer. So it looked like this. Oh, hey, so this is for $5. And inside you're like, it better go for 50 because I know what this thing's worth. And then someone gets it for 10 and you're like, cool, thanks, Kofi Vintage. I'm glad you got that for $5 or $10. That's a really good deal. That's a really good deal. And you inside resent that. That buyer is like, I'm not buying from this person again. So be aware of your mentality, your mindset going into that, because you're communicating that whole vibe, that whole energy is coming across to your buyers, and it's a poor buyer experience. That's why when you come in to serve your buyers, I promise you, if you have higher end stuff and you start bringing deals to people, they are going to come back time and again. And so we don't look at how much we're making per item. We look at lifetime value of a customer. Lifetime value of a customer. We've had customers spend thousands of dollars with us. So if we lose on a couple items, for them to come in again and again and buy more items, what happens is that's happening with 3 people on this show. And then next time we have 5 people that come back. And next time we have 7 people that come back. And the next time, and it keeps growing. Now you have people that are bidding, getting it closer to what that fair market value is, but not from our own doing, but because we're identifying our buyers and we're serving them, being like, we're going to serve good deals, and eventually the market will reciprocate and bring more people in.
But you have to be willing to pay your dues to your market. You're not going to start your item at $30 and have them bid it up to $50.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way. You have to pay your dues. And in some situations, you're going to lose money.
But gain a buyer.
Yeah, but gain a buyer.
I will take a buyer any day over making money on one specific product. Why? Because that's what we did in in traditional reselling. We would put something up on eBay and it would sell, and we'd make $30 off of that one item, but that buyer's never coming back to us again. So that's gone. So our LTV would be like $20, $17 LTV.
Lifetime value of a customer.
Lifetime value of a customer. How much is this customer going to spend with us over a lifetime? Our lifetime value of a customer now is in the hundreds for sure. So if a buyer comes to us multiple times, they're more likely to spend a few $100s with us.
Mhm.
We can
Our
go back
buyer return rate is 65%. So 65% of people who come to my live are return buyers.
Brick and Mortal, she's part of our coaching. So she says, it helps to remember we are a service-based business, not a product-based business. When I'm shifting my mindset for live selling, we love that. It is your business is not what your products are. Your business is the service you provide.
And who are you?
Yeah.
Who are you and who are you serving?
So I usually do $7. Usually it works fine for me. Some items that are vintage or heavier, but good pieces, I do for 10 to 13, and those do good. Yeah.
Here's the thing. I want to address the weight of an item. Because your your earnings are not tied to shipping whatsoever, you should not tell your buyer, this is just my opinion, you should not tell your buyer that you are pricing something higher because it weighs more. Your buyer is paying more in shipping because it's heavy. And then you're going to charge them a fee on top of that because your item is heavy. I don't think that you should do that. I think you need to start everything at one level playing field. $5 start. Don't be wishy-washy on your customer. Don't be like, it's a $5 start night. Just kidding. This one item I'll do for 10 because it's so good. But you don't know if it's so good. You're not looking at the data. You're looking at how you feel and what you think the item is worth. So be careful with marking items up due to weight because you're already putting your buyer in paying more for shipping because it's heavier. Don't charge them more.
Yeah. Take care of your buyer. They'll come back and take care of you.
Mm-hmm.
Love Coquette says, so do you total what you spent at the end of the month and divide items purchased versus sold?
Did you miss this one?
Maybe.
Okay, so Cher says, do you think it's necessary to load your store with pics of your auction items? It's not necessary. This is what I want to say. When you are designing your show and what you can do, it needs to be specifically designed and curated for your situation. If you're a mom of 3 and you're up all night long with babies and you're, like your husband's going to watch the kids while you go live, loading your store is probably not a good idea. It's probably going to be better for you to do mystery polls and ask people to run. I don't load my store because I'm a mom of 6. I don't have time. So I just do mystery polls and I boom, 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 bang it out. But it's not like, oh, okay, so if I load my store, then I'm going to be successful. That's not how it works. There's all these different pieces that you can maneuver around, and you just need to see, what does my market like? What does my audience like? And what is sustainable for me? Because loading my store and doing measurements is not sustainable for me, so I don't do it.
So do you total what you spend at the end of the month?
This is Love Coquette.
Then divide items purchased versus sold.
Wait, what?
Then divide. So do you total what you spend at the end of the month, then divide items purchased versus sold?
We do it per shopping trip.
Kind of, but kind of not. So I use a tracker that we built that we use inside.
He built. I didn't build it.
It's used inside of our coaching group, so it will have the total of what you spent, and then it'll tell you what you sold. We're trying to get to like 100% sell-through rate, and so we will donate a lot of the items. But what I do is look at profit based off of what we are spending per piece, because sometimes we have items that just haven't sold yet. Sometimes they'll go into another show, or we're identifying what we just take that as a loss. If we get an item and it doesn't sell, it's going to be donated. Very rarely will end up in another show. So that just goes into like the total cost of what it is that we spend. We're okay with losing items.
This is Eiffel.
Eiffel loves vintage. Make your own average from there. Price for the minimum that you can afford to use. It takes time to make money like your restaurant.
Yeah.
Absolutely true. And look for a consistent way that you can do this so that your experience isn't changing every single time, that your buyer knows what to expect when they come in, right? Again, if you're running a restaurant, you don't want it to be different every time you come in and the menu's different and like, oh, well, this item right now, because of this, I'm doing this. Take all the confusion out for your buyers. At one point on Whatnot, I saw all these games, especially like right when we started, everyone was doing these games. You could win this and do that. That's really confusing. I'm not trying to learn a game. I'm not watching a game show. I'm here for an experience and I want to know what I'm stepping into. That way your moderators can help you in keeping a consistent experience. That way you're not changing stuff up every single time where like sometimes I'm doing $1 starts, sometimes I'm doing $5 starts, sometimes I'm just doing random stuff. What you want is you want people to come in and get a deal. Look to serve your people and they will take care of you. I promise you. I can't even believe like the amount of support that we've received from here.
SJ just spent $140 to ship me over 100 pounds of clothes. Why did she do that? Because I gave her a beautiful experience that was worthy of the reciprocation of her sending me all of those items.
So look to build your relationship with your buyers and look to serve them. And they will serve you in return.
It's not just, I'm going to turn on my camera and see if people want to buy clothes. That's not what you're doing.
What are they doing? Why do you guys watch Whatnot shows? What are you looking for in a show? What shows do you stay in? What shows do you leave? Bookkeeping is my kryptonite. I'm sorry. I know that bookkeeping can be a lot.
Join our coaching group.
Join the coaching group and we'll give you the tracker and then you can track your stuff. The Whatnot analytics is really good. Even if you just write that down, even if you just keep track of all those things. Take a picture of all your receipts. Know what you're spending. Know what you're making. Know what your fees are. I can't even tell you. There's been times that I'm like, hey, our fees are normally this, but it was this. And she's like, oh, I didn't generate like 50 labels. I'm like, oh, okay. If you know, you can see where money is going away.
It's hidden. Yeah.
All right, let's see what else we got. Yeah, and then you make the buyer feel bad. Don't ever make your buyer feel bad because they're not going to spend money.
And they're not going to come back.
You got to understand something. People don't spend money based off of just purely what the item is worth. They spend money because of a result that they're getting. There's an emotional thing with it. And a big part of that is the whole experience of buying. It's like why people love to buy, but they hate to be sold. Nobody likes to be sold something. Nobody likes when someone says, you stole from me. Nobody likes that experience of being like, oh, I just took advantage of this person. Shoot, oh, I'm going to disappear and never come back. Like, don't make your buyer feel bad and never have anything in your show where you feel resentful towards your buyer.
Take it out.
Yeah, take it out because that's a you thing. That's not a buyer thing. That's on you. Don't ever make your buyers feel bad. Guys, you're selling an experience. Yes, this is what we tell our stylists for our brides buying. You're selling an experience. This is not a product-based business. As soon as you understand this, your business will change.
Your experience is the music you're playing, the lighting you're using, your phone stand, what kind of phone you're using.
Their experience is how they feel. It's how they feel. That's the only thing that matters is how they feel, not even how you feel. Obviously, like share who you are as you go through the process, but it's on how they feel. How do you make them feel? So you're selling an experience. Is what do we tell our stylists for our brides buying wedding dresses? That's why we say it's not a product-based business. That it doesn't matter. You can have the best product in the world and no one might show up to your show. You can have mediocre stuff and have a lot of people show up to your show because it's not based off of, you're not providing a product. None of y'all are sewing these things up. Well, some of you are actually making handmade stuff. But if you're not making your own stuff, if you're going out and buying items and then reselling them, that's not your product. You're not a product-based business. You can't even control what product you get for a lot of the time. So look at it as a way of like, I provide a service. What service do you provide? I go find the item. I then prepare the item and I create an awesome experience and then I give them a great buying experience and then I ship the item. All this and then I share that whole thing. All of this is experience based off of a process and a service you provide, not a product that you sell. As soon as you get into the product selling thing, you're going to blame your success or your lack of success based off of what products you have. Well, only if I had like the brand new this or that. Then
Only if I had Chanel.
If I had Chanel, then my thing would be
So much better.
That's
It's
where
this.
it's the service that you provide. Improve your service. Focus on serving your customers. Get to know them, their names, and then keep doing that over and over again, and do it consistently so that your buyer knows what to expect and they'll show up. Don't expect to make money immediately. Those sellers that tell you the value of their pieces is not true. Your buyer determines the value 100%. That's why we have to be humble and be like, when people are like, oh, this will sell for 50, maybe. Well, like we always say, like allegedly, like that's what we say when she's like, I think that this could allegedly, we don't know, and we're not going to tie ourselves to it.
And I've completely removed my emotional trigger to an item not being bid up. For me, I'm like, awesome, more data for me to make a better decision.
Monica Vintage, all about the mindset. I stopped expecting high money and it changed the game for me. Girl, your show is
You're
awesome.
fired.
All right.
Yeah, you.
Why are you screaming at me? You are screaming. Okay.
I'm sorry. But Monica, if you're still in here,
you better listen up right now.
Monica, you have honed that sourcing. You pick up the best of the best, and you only pick up that. If it doesn't speak to you, you don't pick it up. Your success is being founded on your decision to be an incredible sourcer. Now you just need to focus on staging, streaming, and shipping, and then sharing the process. But you have the items. Your items are fire.
Stop screaming at Monica.
I'm sorry, Monica. I'm sorry.
And she gets more passionate when she's sitting next to me. I'm sorry, guys. I will hold her back. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
you will.
I won't let her fight any. Give them a good experience.
I'm trying.
Jeez. Don't yell at your customers,
I'm
guys.
sorry.
What do you determine is time to donate? I think this is where you've got to look at. So there's only going to be a couple reasons that you need to donate. Number one is it's not a good item. Number two is you just didn't have the right audience to have them in front of. So you need to look at it. Perhaps you're like, well, maybe I just didn't have the right people in front of it. That's totally fine.
And if I was a new seller, I would show it 2 times. 2 times, recycle it into your next show and see if it sells. Read the data if it does, and do it that way. But I would not do more than 2 times.
When did you move from $1 to $5 starts? We moved in June, I think, of last year, maybe even July. But that's because we had been doing $1 starts, and then we had to go back out sourcing again. But we did $1 starts to gain repeat buyers and to get market data, and then we had to go out sourcing again. But
we ran out of inventory.
Because we sold all the inventory, so we had to go get new ones, and so we had to bump it up to $5 to cover
Our cost of
but
goods.
it still wouldn't be profitable to do it. You can't run a business off of doing $5 starts and then selling everything for $5. At least our business model wouldn't allow for that. So, but we knew that's why we were doing it. And I think that mindset's so important because it keeps you going. Depends. I stay in the shows that have awesome pieces.
They're having
Okay.
a conversation.
What is your coaching group?
I stay in the shows that have awesome pieces.
Our coaching group, if you go to Making Grace,
You gotta say their name, but the high-end hoarder. I love that. If you go to our Instagram, my Instagram handle is in the show notes. If you're interested in joining our private reseller group, we are actually going to cap it out soon. We want to cap it out at 30 members. And we want to build. We're doing the same thing in our coaching group. We're following the same model, and we want to refine and get things in order. But if you're interested in joining our coaching group, we have a call every Monday. I would say the biggest asset of joining this group is, one, the community. You have people, someone asked earlier, like, how do you keep the momentum and keep going? Join our coaching group. To be a part of a community that understands that losing sucks and that we want to help you win. The number one thing also as well is Stephen has built an incredible digital tracker where you just plug in your numbers. You don't have to think about it. It already does all the math for you. And we have a phone call every Monday. There's also private coaching calls. We have specific times on our calendar. If you need a private coaching call, we're all ears, and you just schedule it. So it's totally up to you guys. I do want to preface, if you are going to join the coaching group, and I mean to speak very directly, you have to desire to be a pro. You have to desire to be a pro live seller. That is your goal. And if that is your goal, we would love to work with you. But don't hop in if you're not willing to do this. If you're not willing to look at the data and actually make decisions in your business and receive critique and suck, then don't join. But we are going to cap it out at 30 people. So we're currently at 14. Are we at 14?
16 or something.
Okay.
I don't know where we're at exactly. Carly says, what about sellers like Woven & Co., Millionaire Vintage, who don't start everything at the same price? Totally. I think that what I'm saying when I'm talking about the price start isn't so much whether or not you're changing it up. It's understanding whether something's working or not. And I think a lot of times people come in and there's so many different options you can run your business with that you can't say why something was successful or wasn't successful because you're changing it up too frequently. And so I highly recommend, if you're just getting started, to do things very consistently and then make one change so you can say this one change contributed to this, instead of trying to do everything different and then be like, well, what worked and what didn't work? Like, I don't know, because I did it at a different time. I did different start bids. I had a completely different, just keep things consistent at first, and then you can then begin to pare down. And I think essentially like learn the rules so you can get so good later that you can break the rules. But if you don't try to bypass this and be like, oh, I'm going to follow someone else's model, because we get people ask like, well, should I do this? I don't know. It depends on your model. Every model is completely different. I don't even know your mindset going into this. So I would just say do stuff consistently and then make the changes as you go along so you don't get caught up in.
Hold on, I want to read what Krista wrote. She said, Krista said, yes, I come back for Jenica. The great clothing pieces are just a plus. This is what I'm saying. But here's the thing, is I truly value Krista. I truly value her. I want to see her. I'm not trying to pretend to do these things. I genuinely care about her. I want to know what her kids look like. I have a deep love for her, and I literally just met her 3 weeks ago, and she was a buyer in my kids show, and then she came into my women's show, and she's already one of my top spenders in both of the shows. So really showing that you care about a customer will get them to come back.
Little Liza Jane says, this has helped so much. I'm glad. I just started, and my first show went so good, but my next two did horrible. I would, Liza, I would just say, what is a definition for you for a horrible show? And look at whether those things that you define as being the attributes of a good show and an attribute of a horrible show, what of those things can you actually control? Because I think you probably did 3 good shows because you did shows. You went through this cycle right here. That's a win right there. Sometimes it's just fun. Carly says sometimes it's just fun to hang out in a show because of their energy. A lot of times people, they're not there to buy. They just want to give them a show.
Entertainment.
And they'll come back later too when they are ready to buy. Also, something like 7.5 times that someone needs to see you before 7.5. That's what
7.5 hours.
Oh, if someone's seen you before they're going to actually buy from you.
Yeah.
I had a seller look at me when I bought something and said, you stole that. I think everyone left her room after that.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Know what your protocols are. Like if someone raids you, know what your protocol is. Don't run a giveaway. Don't run a giveaway. If
Well, don't yell at them.
I'm sorry.
Guys, I'm so sorry. I will.
Please come back.
Why are you
Please
you're
come
still
back.
Yelling. You're still yelling. Stop yelling. Okay? Sorry, guys. Bad buyer experience.
Whatever. You love my buying experience.
Tracker's the heart of the data side of my business. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let us know if you want to join
Yeah,
the group.
Let us know. Pierre. Let us know if you want to join.
Go pro.
Yeah.
Carly, you are going pro.
I know, baby. You're already in.
Love the group. It feels like a family who finally understands. We love you, Katie.
I know. We love you so much. SJ!
Oh, man. SJ, we were just talking about
We were just talking about you. You sent me more clothes, you stinker. Thank you. It's on my porch right now.
Wait, when or how do we join?
Mm-hmm.
Go to the Instagram.
Yeah, go to this is not his forte.
It's out on the internet somewhere. You can find it.
Go to my Instagram. My Instagram handle
on it.
is in the show notes, and you can click the link. Well, other people may have not. There are 3 more boxes coming. SJ! I love you. We all love you, SJ. You're wonderful.
All right, there are plenty of ways to grow, but the 5S model will gain you speed. Ooh, the speed thing. That speed, look up flywheel. Go look up that term, flywheel.
This is a flywheel.
You'll get better and better. The lowest stars as possible within your business model will speed up growth. That's the thing. It's only a phase, and you're only... Like we're looking for what we call escape velocity. Like we're trying to get this rocket out of the atmosphere. You got to do it through this like really consistent burn. You got to, and then get your buyers. Once your buyers are in there and they keep coming back and they love you, it's on at that point. It's on. So just keep going. So that's another thing too. You might want to look at this and be like, I'm going to sprint from this next 90 days. I'm going to like really push into this and be ready to go. Make sure your spouse is on the same page.
Read the data.
And then read the data.
And then do another 60-day push.
What is the time
of day
to go live? What's the best time to go live?
Carly.
So
trial and error.
Yeah.
Trial and error.
And I would say this.
Depending on what you're selling.
Yeah, and who's your
demographic.
Yeah, we call an avatar. In marketing, it's you create a persona of, let's say you're doing like women's vintage. So the persona is going to be a woman, right? Between this age and this. And some companies will create an actual person, meaning not an actual person, but like an avatar, meaning like they have a name, they have like this is how many kids they have, this is where they live, this is what their income is. Like. And that way they can communicate specifically with one person, but the marketing itself actually communicates to a whole group of people that fall within that. So the best time to go live is when your avatar is looking for you as well. That's going to change. Kids shows, maybe like during nap time or like early in the mornings. Maybe like if you're selling to like Gen Z, then it's going to be a different time than you are to sell to like a millennial that has like 3 kids at home. East Coast, West Coast, where are you at? So there's a lot of different factors to that, but test and then do something consistently and test, but do it consistently so they can come back and they can find you. Hi, Millie.
Hi, Millie.
I stay in a show in the chat. It's fun. That's another thing as well.
How do you cultivate your chat? Are you aware of them or are you just trying to sell them clothes? Because they don't want that. They want to know you. Who are you? You are your brand.
Natasha said scary. She's probably talking about your screening.
I'm sorry, Natasha. Please come back.
You can yell at me, Jen.
Okay.
Is it true that shows should be at least 2 hours? Not necessarily. Not necessarily.
Whatever your data tells you.
Yeah. I think that it's good to get data by doing as many hours as you can, but also pay attention to your energy levels.
And burn out.
Don't burn out. Why not run a Gibby? The reason why we recommend
I
not.
want to. I was yelling.
No,
I-
you're not allowed to talk to me. You're on timeout right now because you've been yelling at people, and we're not putting up with it anymore.
Okay,
None of us are.
sorry.
Okay. Why not run a Gibby? Because you stop the momentum of what you're doing. Don't let the buyer dictate how your show goes or if somebody raids, because you might have some people in there that are like, let's go, let's see the next one. And then you run a Gibby because all these new people came to the party and the whole party shifts.
You're stopping the momentum.
That's why we don't also let like, hey, what are you looking for? Because you guys have probably been in shows where one buyer is dominating everything and everyone else is just part of a chat or a room watching like one buyer and one seller go back and forth. It's not a good experience. So as Jay says, personally, I find success when shows are 4 to 5 hours. I think that there is
So SJ she sells for a platform that sells comic book art. And so she's hired as a live seller and she's saying her data says 4 to 5 hours.
Is this Bree?
Uh-huh.
Hi, Bree. Wait, finish the sentence. Don't run a giveaway.
Mm-hmm.
That's why don't
messes
switch
with the flow of your show.
Yeah. So you can do whatever you want, by the way, regardless of who's yelling at you. I mostly do 1 hour shows and sell just as much as 3 hours. That's another thing. You can do a lot in play with the cadence of how quickly you show items. Play with the cadence of your storytelling for each item.
What
and
information
understand
are you
what
sharing?
time of day or what time of the week you're doing it. If it's a Friday evening and people are like, let's go. Just kidding, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to get in pajamas. I'm going to watch whatnot. But maybe they want that feel of like, this is
I'm going out.
Yeah, I'm going out. Or it's morning time. Or it's like mid-afternoon to late afternoon on a Friday and someone's just yelling at you, like understand your buyer. Okay. Will you do an unboxing? Your last one.
SJ,
yeah.
I think it would be so fun. Let's do it.
Okay.
And maybe I'll do like $1 starts. Maybe.
I definitely think there's a specific category of sellers on here that do these low starts. A lot do higher starts, and it's totally successful as well. 100%. What I would say is don't try to box yourself into that model of whether it's a low start or a high start, because you can pigeonhole yourself into only being that. And then when you transition later, it becomes difficult. So understand that it's not whether you're doing low starts or high starts or whatever it is, it's your data and what it's telling you, and you're making decisions off of that, not based off of how you feel. I can't tell you how many conversations that we've had where she's like, I don't think things are going all that well in the business. I don't know what's going on. I'm like, girl, you're crazy. We'll sit down and look through the numbers and see that there are, see if we're moving in the direction that we want to move to. Your feelings are the worst indicator of how your business is actually doing. So don't get into a whole thing about like, well, I feel that I should do this or that. Sometimes feelings can help you with coming up with ideas and whether you should move forward on it, but they're horrible as an indicator as to whether or not your business is going well if you're not looking at data. So
Cupid's ransom. If I put in my credit card number in the class, is it? Yes, it's private.
We can't see it. That's done entirely through school.com, skool.com. That's the platform we run our coaching program on. They handle all the payment stuff. So the higher starts usually has an audience though that is there to buy those things, so it works for them. Yep.
So here's what my husband just explained to me yesterday was in the beginning of your live reselling journey, your goal is quantity. How many items can I show in a live? How many times can I go live? You are trying to get quantity. In that variable of quantity, you start to understand your market. Oh, they like vintage 70s. Oh, they love the 50s. They love anthropology. You start to maneuver the more quantity you do. Then eventually, when you have your customer base built and you have repeat buyers, then you can paint a picture with quality and not quantity. So once you've built that foundation, you can then move your model from quantity to quality. And I am like so excited about this revelation. I just needed him to say it in that way, that not everyone can curate a show and expect people to understand what's happening. I'm never going to Europe. Your European vacay themed show, I don't care. I'm not going to Europe. What I want is an experience where you're turning over items, you're cycling over items so I can see what I like and what I don't like. And then you use that data to further curate what works instead of using what you like and what you think is valuable. But
So
follow
it works
the
like
data.
this. So you source your items. When you source your items, you're guessing like, hey, I think these might be good. Then you stage your items where you're going through and actually preparing those items. The staging process is going to depend on how many items you got when you source, right? And then you stream. Streaming is where we're focused on getting market data and repeat buyers. Then when we get repeat buyers, because we're getting this data, when we go to ship it, we're looking through and seeing what sold, what didn't sell, and then what those things sold for. The things that sold for more, we're going to consider that the next time we go sourcing. When she goes sourcing, she's not going to pick up as much stuff this time, which makes the staging process goes easier. When this goes easier, it's easier to do the stream because there's less stress. She's in she loves the items even more because she feels more confident in it. So then it shows in the stream. Then more people show up because we're getting this. We gave great deals, more people show up. More people show up, the more data we now get. When we ship, we see that there's more, hey, these items are selling. So we go back and source. This should improve every single rotation as you go through, but only if you're paying attention to what you're actually trying to improve. You can run through this cycle thousands of times and literally never get better because you're not identifying what's working, what's not working. Do you suggest having an extra, Carly asked, do you suggest having an extra screen during a live, or can I just do it with my phone? You could totally do it with your phone, but an extra screen helps a lot.
You don't, when you're changing items, your face has to be like right here. And I think it's so much more beneficial to have an iPad, another phone, something that you're running it off of, because it can tend to like mess up the flow of your show, because you may have to hang the item and then you have to go and start the item. And for me, it's just easier to do it on another device.
And something else to keep in mind, like we're speaking from a place of what we are doing in our own business. Mm-hmm. We're not saying this is the only way. Mm-hmm. We're not saying, what we're talking about is, we're talking about that big idea of where things are going right now in secondhand resale. If you guys go look at the ThreadUp report that they do annually, it'll tell you secondhand clothes is growing like crazy, and live commerce is growing like crazy. What we're trying to do is position ourselves so that our business will grow over time, so that we can continually improve what it is we're doing, because we believe that there's a wave coming that's going to completely rock this secondhand, just fashion in general. And so that's why we do these things. We're not looking to make the most that we can on every single item, because we're looking for data so we can do this high volume. If that's not your game, then that's not your game. Stick with the game that's working for you. Just understand that how you play your game is going to determine where you are in the next few years in your business. And so, yeah, you can have, and the other thing is too, is it doesn't have to be any sort of particular format that you're following. We're just explaining, she's only yelling at you because this is what we do.
I'm sorry, I'm passionate about it.
And so,
just understand, I wasn't meaning any offense. I mean, I'm just trying to, no, you're not.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
Millie says there's a huge group of people who watch while they work. Mm-hmm. So I think that's another thing. That's part of your service, right? It's not just the products. And then also realize, like, people will watch your show for a while before some of them will even buy, right? Mm-hmm. She's passionate, yet not yelling.
That's what I'm saying. See?
That's not what my left ear is saying. What if you run items while people are entering the Givey? Totally. I think.
Yeah. You can utilize it.
100%.
And that's just another thing. That's just another feature. Like, I think what's happening when people start to want to resell live selling, they look at all of this different these data points, like should I load my store? What price starting point? All these little minute details, when really it's just this. You don't have to have all the fluff. You don't have to run giveaways. You need a systemizable setup of how your show starts and how it ends. And trying to add more fluff and data to be like, do I run a giving out? Should I run it later? Do I do this? No, you figure out the foundation of your show, the structure of your show, and these 5 key points, then add the fluff, then get creative, then curate. But you need to build the audience and the structure in order to do that.
She doesn't yell at people in our coaching group, just so you know.
Yes, I do. I yell at you all the time.
Millie says I usually only do buyer giveaways. People enter in and then leave.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have to pay for shipping for the random person who never wants to come back and actually buy. 100%.
Mm-hmm.
But there's...
You can still run a givey, though,
Yeah.
because you're gaining all those followers.
Yeah, 100%.
And then you can use those followers to notify them when you go live.
How do you feel about theme shows? I think the biggest thing in all of this is if you are not consistently doing shows that you're testing, some of these things, unless you are already doing this, I think that sometimes we have so many different variables that we're trying to consider and trying to figure out how we're going to do what it is that we're doing, that there's so much that you can do on Whatnot. You can play roles. We've seen people do that. We've seen game shows. We've seen theme shows. We've seen raid trains. There's so many different things you can do. I think the biggest thing is are you doing it? Have you begun? Because I think sometimes we end up in a spot where we want to figure everything else out and all the variables and the things we're doing before we begin. So get in, don't lose all your money. If you break even, that's a win. If you lose a little bit of money, it might be a win if you stick with this model. But don't get caught up in all the different variables of what you can do, and then stick with the basics before you do anything else. There was a story that this he's a coach, and he would teach this gentleman. He is a basketball coach. He would teach these camps to kids, middle school, high school, and he worked even with NBA players as well. And he had the opportunity to meet Kobe Bryant. And he said he really wanted to make an impression on Kobe Bryant. He was so curious. He's like, "Hey, Kobe, would you be okay with me watching one of your personal practices?" And he says, "Yeah." He says, "Be at the gym at 4. And he's like, "Okay." And he knew it was 4 a.m. So he shows up at the gym. He's like, "I was going to impress Kobe Bryant." Says I pulled up at 3:30 in the morning so I could be there early to show Kobe Bryant how committed I was to, how grateful I was for this opportunity. And when I opened up my car door, the lights were already on in the gym, and he could hear the foot squeak and the basketball dribbling. He already knew that Kobe had been here for a while. So he goes in, and Kobe Bryant is in a full-on sweat, and he's running through his drills. And he didn't want to interrupt him, so he just went and he sat and he watched Kobe Bryant. And he said Kobe Bryant was doing the most basic moves, basic footwork. Everything was this basic thing that he was doing. And he was like, "Oh, maybe he's just warming up." And then Kobe had another trainer come in and work with him. They did strength training. This guy ends up leaving. Watch the whole thing. There's nothing spectacular about what he was doing. He said later, Kobe played a game that night and absolutely crushed it. And then after the game, he went and talked to him and said, "Hey, I have a question for you. You're the greatest basketball player right now. And I watched your workout and it was the basics. Why were you doing, I teach those to middle school and high school kids. Why are you doing the basics?" And Kobe Bryant says, "Why do you think I'm the greatest? I never get bored with the basics." I think that's so important. If you're not practicing the basics, don't get caught up in all the variables. Can you dribble in between your legs? Should you be shooting? if you ain't doing the basics, like do that first and then work on some of the more advanced things and play your own game. Focus on this right now, how the best way that you can do it. But don't get caught up in it. Cupid Ransom said, I think I just joined, but I'm not sure.
We will make sure. We will message you.
You could probably look on there. That's awesome. We're excited to have you.
And anyone else who wants to join, we are capping it at 30 members. So there is 16 slots left. And Millie, in no way was I trying to be like, you should do theme shows. That was not my intention. You are the one seller that I'm like, this is where it works. This is where high starts, high volume, and quality theme shows works. Your shows do so well. So well. So
go with what works,
and
but
exactly
do what, like begin first, like be doing the thing, and then test and track and see what works. Listening to this and getting so pumped. Priscilla says to continue growing. I needed this.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's what
Pierre
we're saying.
says,
If
like,
you're just
they aren't
starting
bad.
out, I would not recommend doing a curated styled show.
Sometimes we're like asking about like what's the best running shoe, but we're not running. Like make sure like people are like, what should I buy this like $3,500 guitar? I don't know how long you've been playing for, what kind of style. I'm not playing right now. I'm just wondering if it would help me. No, if you're not playing right now, it wouldn't help you. Go find the guitar, like start where you are right now and don't wait until you have everything. Do you know how to eliminate microphone feedback when running two devices?
Turn your mic off of the one you're not using to run your show. Go into settings and turn the mic off.
What advice would you have given yourself in the beginning with the knowledge you now know? That's a great question.
That is. Sam, how are you? I would...
Control wins.
Number one, controllable wins. And number two, remembering why I am willing to suck. Remembering that everyone sucks at something new they are starting. Every time. You're never phenomenal right off the bat unless you're like gifted. But everything requires you to suck. So suck cheerfully, suck happily, suck and look at it as more data. Don't look at what you view as a crappy show. Don't let that dictate how you feel about it.
Yeah. Determine
your controllable win.
Why did it suck?
Execute.
Why was it a crappy show?
And then take the data.
Pierre says, I didn't think you were being mean. I just thought it was funny. Love to see the passionate queen. No, she's being mean.
No, I'm not.
I'm just kidding. I watched to learn. Some of the larger shows are very robotic and unauthentic. I finally done some purchases not to impress with
New Without Tech.
100%. And so that's another thing. Your model can change. Understand you could have like 50 buyers total and have a phenomenal business. You could have thousands of buyers. You just need to understand what it is that you're doing. If you're going to sell high-end items, you don't need as much volume. If you're going to sell low to mid-ticket items, you need to get the volume in order to hit. So just something to keep in mind. Can you explain how everyone refers any problems back to Whatnot and not their store? I hope that makes sense. Can you explain how everybody refers any problems back to Whatnot and not their store? I hope that makes sense.
So you essentially, Whatnot is your customer service representative. You are not going to be issuing refunds. You are not going to be dealing with customers around returns. You're not going to be doing any of that. If a customer comes to you and says, hey, my item is flawed, you simply say, please hit up Whatnot support. They will help you. I have no control over whether I can issue a refund.
But use that as feedback when that comes in. That's great feedback. How did you get past the first 10 minutes of awkwardness when there's only two people? Have fun with those two people. Like understand, like think
learn
of this
who
as
they
like,
are.
Yeah, think of yourself as like a party host, right?
Yeah, and
so
like
if you got people that just walk into your home, talk to them and get to understand what it is that they're doing. Not in a way of saying, hey, you let me know what you want, but just in saying, like, getting to know them. I use the giving in the beginning, so do we, to set the tone of my live and connect in the chat and get it moving 100%. I think that's really good just to get warmed up, and running a Gibby is a good way to do that. And it puts you in that mindset of like, hey, I'm here to serve some people. Monica says, sometimes I start rare things higher, but it works for me because even when priced higher, people still bid it up because my audience knows the value 100%. And you want to get that audience to come follow you. And that's going to take a little bit of time. So find that way to get them in the door. Think of it as like when restaurants are standing outside giving away samples, right? Not all those people are going to come in. You're just looking for the people that want to come in for your orange chicken. Such a good question.
Pierre, advice on thumbnails. Something easily readable, something that is going to catch their eye but is not busy, and your branding. So mine is Baking Grace Millie Millionaire Vintage. She designed my logo. She designed all of that. And I told her I just want it very minimal, and the more minimal, the better. Also, you have to think about how you're situated on the feed. So think about other people's show posters and what draws you to a show poster. But I like having my brand name, my face, and what my show is about, and it looks so good. Like Millie executed amazingly.
Should I steam and or iron every piece? Yeah, stage your pieces. Understand that those pieces, the difference between a wrinkly piece and a piece that looks like it's ready to wear right then, there's a big difference in the value. Don't ask your buyer to be like, hey, pretend this doesn't look like this. Close your eyes and imagine this.
Cupid Ransom, you have to take us out of the equation. We're not counting ourselves as members of the group. So,
and because of her yelling today, she's actually out of the
people
group.
joined. People joined because I was yelling at them. They were fearful and they bought.
People may buy out of fear, but they'll never return.
You know what?
Just letting you know.
Okay.
What are some examples of controllable wins?
Let's go, Foxface. Let's do it.
So controllable win, sourcing. I can talk about her controllable wins because we talk about this. So when she goes sourcing, at one point it was, I'm going to touch every single item. I'm going to go through
the bins.
At the bins
and the regular
and the racks. So she's like, I have to go through every single item on the rack. Now her controllable win has changed over time because she's gotten better at it. So she doesn't necessarily have to do the same things anymore. Because your controllable wins will then become your habit. That will become like, so now your positive habits are going to stack over time. So controllable win for sourcing, you'd be like, I'm going to touch every single item. Don't go through and just browse through. Like you have to like dig in. So that's kind of the mindset. So it would be like, did I go through and touch every single item on the rack or every single item in the bin? Staging would be like, I'm going to go through
steam.
I'm going to steam or iron and clean every single item. And I'm going to find 2 or 3 unique features about each one of these items that I can speak about on the live. That's a controllable win, totally in your control. Then for streaming, it could be like, I'm going to show every single item on the rack, and I'm going to now convey the 2 or 3 features of this item and why I like this, or any stories. And I'm going to maintain a servant attitude. And so I'm going to engage and truly look to connect. And so that would be controllable wins for streaming. And you write these down before you do it. And then afterwards you look through it and say, did I do
these? So we have what's called a show journal. It's actually a PDF for those, if you guys just joined the coaching group from this Q&A. If you go into the classroom tab of school in our group, we have printable PDFs for creating checklists and for your show journal. There are specific sections you do before your show and specific sections that you do after. And it helps you go through this iteration and log it. So you're not just doing it mentally, you're literally filling something out.
Carly says not going to be pro in the first show.
You
Carly,
got this,
you're
baby.
Already a pro.
You're already a pro. You're part of our group.
there's this concept. It's called Dunning-Kruger, and what it means is people who are the least competent and least knowledgeable about a particular skill also tend to be the most confident in their ability to do that. While people that are less or that are more competent tend to not be as confident in doing that skill because they understand like, oh, there's levels to this. I know where I'm at in
There's
this right
so
now.
much
They're
data.
aware of where they're at in this. And I'll give you an example. On my sales team, when I ran a sales team a few years ago, I would have people that would come in and be like, I'm not really, I've never done this before. And this isn't something I've ever really wanted to get in and learn sales. So I just wanted you to know that. And I would be like, that's fantastic because you're going to follow my process and we're going to go through this and you're going to learn. And those that were most coachable and were just like, I'm just going to keep trying and keep learning were the ones that would do it. On the other hand, I'd have people come in and be like, probably going to be the best salesperson you ever had. I bet you I'm going to be number one on your team within 30 days. And over time, because I coached a team, multiple teams for 3 years, at the end of that time, when somebody came in and told me that, I knew that they weren't going to last for 2-3 weeks. They would be done before that 30 days is up because they came in with that mentality of this is probably way easier than I even think it is. And there's nothing to learn. They struggled because when I'd ask them to do things they didn't feel comfortable with, they wanted to push back on everything that I said. They wanted to debate me on all these things. Whereas other people are like, yeah, I'll try that. I'll go do that right now. Those are the people that would win.
Yeah.
And so that's something to keep in mind, Carly. Like the fact that you're asking all these questions and looking at it, it means that you're aware of the levels of this. But I also say the pro is a pro regardless of what the results look like. The pro is how they show up and what they're doing and whether they're learning from every single show. So you can be a pro on your first show as long as you're following a process of how you're going to improve. Yes, and that be presentable, selling experience. Millie's throwing some love. Imagine seeing that, Brian. She's trying.
Millie, I cannot explain how much better my shows are because I steam. Amen. Amen, sister.
Plus, you're getting familiar.
And you're linen lover. You gotta get that linen crisp. Priscilla.
Oh man, washer and dryer changed our world. That's the time into your business and for new potential return buyers. 100%. Leveling up just a little decision at a time. I think that's, if you can tie your success and the way that you feel about your business to whether you did it or not, you'll go way further because your mindset is one of like, I'm winning. Well, why are you winning? Because I said I was going to go to the gym and I walked into the gym and then I went back out to my car and went home, but I went to the gym and that's a win. The next time I go in, how can I improve? The next time I'm going to go into the locker room and actually get into my gym clothes. And then you do that and then you go home and you don't work out. That's a win. You're winning. And then go back and be like, I'm actually going to do one set on one machine or one set of dumbbell curls or whatever it might be. That's a win. Stack those little wins, that mindset. That's why it's really important not to compare yourself to other people or compare yourself to external results because your mindset's going to destroy you because how are you going to continue to show up when you're losing every single time? And here's the funny thing. If you tie your wins to an internal thing that you have control over, and then you acknowledge that you won by doing that thing, you are more likely to get the actual result that everyone is doing. However, on the other end, if you tie the way you feel and whether you're winning or losing to an external result, when you lose, you're going to not only lose from that, but you're most likely going to lose out twice on the actual result that you're doing this for, which is like more money, more buyers, whatever it might be, because you can't sustainably do something that you feel like you're losing every time you do. Why would you do that to
And
yourself?
why would you set your mind frame up to lose?
Be nice.
Foxface, welcome to our group. Thank you so much.
Jen just makes it look easy. Effortless babe. Here's the truth.
The thing.
Here's
the thing, Carly, is I was willing to suck. I was not good in the beginning. I was not good.
And even now, there's still things to
be improved,
right? Another thing you can do is once you've identified what you're specifically working on streaming, you jump on YouTube and go look up ways to improve vocal tonality, ways to improve speaking, what you should, any of those things that you can actually improve becoming more articulate, being able to change up your voice inflection, your speed of your rate of speech so that it's more entertaining.
Look up humor. Humor is
humor.
a huge part of my show. I love making people laugh, and I love laughing. And y'all are weird, like me. And so you come back and you laugh with me. But even watching comedy, how can I incorporate humor?
The human ego can be wild, impacts us so much.
Amen.
For real. So understand that you're literally wiring your brain to either move towards this or move away from it. So as you do this, that's why we're doing stuff like the show journal, why we're writing these things down, why we're reflecting on how we won, looking for ways that we can improve next time, and then readjusting our controllable wins so that we get better each time. Because we have to, if you want to win at this, then you have to wire your brain for that. So you can't be like, I'm losing, and then you're going to win one day. That's not ever going to work. And it's being like so mean to yourself.
And
Don't
you're
do that.
tying your success to an outcome you have no control over. So you need to tie your success to the journey of getting the outcome.
Do you have to wash each item before selling?
No, you do not.
Legally, no. But it can.
Okay, sorry.
But stage and look to improve your staging process. And
Yeah, don't put dirty items up that are wrinkly and old. Don't do that.
One time I got something that smelled like cats and haven't returned to that show. Just realized. For real. When you're staging, we made it to the end.
Wow.
When you're staging, is that when you were figuring out shipping weight?
Yeah, well, Sprinkles, I have been reselling for almost 6 years. It'll be 6 years this October. Right?
That was Poshmark. We're probably pretty close to
6 years.
Yeah.
So
probably in like the next couple months.
I have been reselling for a very long time, and I had to put the weight in for each item for thousands of items. So I can generally tell in the show how much an item weighs just by holding it.
So weigh it.
I would buy a scale, Carly.
Carly, I think we have a scale.
We have a scale you can have.
Come hang out with us and we'll give you a scale.
And now I'll take baby.
Or we can bring it to you because you have a baby.
Yes.
Is Brandon home?
Yeah. When does Brandon get back?
You might have already answered, but what made you choose Whatnot instead of P?
Poshmark.
Okay.
Sure.
Can I?
Yeah.
Can I talk about this?
Get it. We
All right.
want you to. We love you.
Okay. So the reason why we were on Poshmark. So our reselling journey started on Poshmark, started on eBay, and then eBay was taking money out of our account. And
Water.
and then so we were like, oh, we don't know the eBay game, so we'll do Poshmark because it was easier.
Mm-hmm.
And then we added on Mercari, and then we added on Depop, and then we added on Etsy and eBay again. And so at one point we were selling on 5 different platforms, and we were listing probably an average of like 40 to 50 items every day, but we were really looking to try to get to 80 to 100 items, even above that. And it was a constant grind, and it was so hard to do because what essentially we were doing is we would look at our daily sell-through rate, and all we were trying to do is if we knew that if we maintained a daily sell-through rate of this, and we kept improving our listings, and as long as our sell-through rate was either staying consistent or improving, then we just needed to load as many things up as possible. And it became a grind. There was also we had 2 virtual assistants in India and 1 in the Philippines.
We had 4.
We had 4 virtual assistants at one point, and we had someone coming in-house and doing photos and listening and doing all the data entry stuff. And it became so difficult to do. And although the business was slowly growing, I just looked at it, I'm like, the only way that we can scale this up is by bringing in more people. We have to do a larger volume.
It was through labor.
And it was
We had to
purely through labor. And now,
pay people to labor in our business.
and then
so
we
it could
had
grow.
to do our inventory system, and then we would need to understand shipping and what items sold on what platform. Then we pared it down to eBay and Etsy. And same thing, it was doing well. I mean, things were growing, but it was such a slow growth. We understood that if we wanted to play this game and actually have our
Win.
business provide enough income that we could live off of it and still grow, that we were going to have to do way more. And it was just, it reached a point that was just too much. And I was frustrated because I've been in sales for years and never had, ever was it in sales. If you weren't making sales, either you need to go through and adjust your marketing so you have more inbound leads coming in, or you need to be out there prospecting. And neither one of these things were really possible because we couldn't run direct marketing for one-off items on eBay because our cost, we'd only really profit, $10 to $20 off of an item. And even if we were selling a few of these a day, our average was like $130 every day at one point when we were looking at it. It started and it would grow, but the problem became where it's like everything was one-off, so we never had return buyers, and so therefore we couldn't run marketing because
we were just grinding ourselves into the ground, and there was not enough
compounding of return buyers to actually grow this.
To grow it.
And I was telling her, she had like 4,000 or 5,000 people on her Instagram at the time. I'm like, I wish we could just hit up people that were interested in this and see if this is what they want, instead of us waiting, listing and waiting and listing and waiting. And then we're not even getting the data of what's working and what's not working. Because some things might take like 45 days to sell, some 30, some might sell the next day. But we're not getting that data of whether it's a bad buy for like 6 weeks sometimes.
So we're still picking up the same thing, and it wasn't a good buy. And
we're not tracking all that anyway because it's 7,100 items that we're tracking, And so it just became way too much. And so just in frustration, like I wish we could just go out there and like hustle this stuff. I wish we could just hustle this out. Let's just go move items. Why can't we just go sell this? So we started looking up like what would it take to sell off of her Instagram.
I love you. Sorry.
And then it became, we found Whatnot, and we did one show, and we've done a presentation on this. That one show wasn't our top earning thing ever, but it was enough for us to recognize, oh, this is a thing. At $1 starts, we can actually do this and grow this.
I think I made like $100. And
from there, that's when we went all in, and it's because of all the data we have. We have like 4 years of data to look at,
and we are able to look at all of it because he tracked it.
And so we then were like, okay, well, Whatnot's the way to go. And so we moved entirely to Whatnot, and we began to systematically start pulling listings off and shut down our eBay and our Etsy store because that's all we were selling.
And then we shut it down.
I will absolutely say, like, I'll give you something to consider. When we were selling on Poshmark, I was trying to figure out who was killing it on Poshmark. And a lot of times I'd find these articles of being like, this person's made $100,000 on Poshmark. And I do more research into it. And I'm like, they've done $100,000 on Poshmark over the last 3 years total. That ain't gonna cut it. And we were sharing like crazy, and it just didn't make a whole lot of sense for us to keep pushing it. Also, we couldn't tell what was working and what wasn't. And so I wanted to see if anyone was doing a lot of money on Poshmark. I never found anyone. And the CEO of Poshmark came out and said, our app is designed for people who have extra items in their closet that they want to get rid of. And I was like, well, that's not us. We're doing high volume. This platform isn't being built for us. This is being built for sellers that are
mediocre at best.
Well, that's not even what they want to do. That's not even their goal. Their goal is to move some items in their closet. 100%. Well, we are trying to put an engine on a go-kart here. Like we're trying to put like a V8 on a go-kart. That's not going to work out. So we need to reconsider this. However, we looked at Whatnot. On Whatnot alone, there's over, I believe it's 100. I'd have to look it up. There's an article that I have.
I thought it was 50.
I have an article reference that there are multiple people that have done millions in revenue in a single year.
On Whatnot.
On Whatnot. So that lets me know that there is something there. I'm not planning on going on to Poshmark and be like, I'm going to make multiple six figures, and then looking around and be like, oh, nobody else here does that.
Mhm.
That's not going to happen. So eBay, we knew that eBay, you could do that. There are people that make millions of dollars
But
in
it's
revenue,
heavy labor,
but
high volume,
or
and
you're doing
so much
high ticket items and lower volume,
Mhm.
or you're doing high ticket and high volume, but it's going to require a team. So you got to look at what your goals are, that the vehicle that you're in can actually get you there, and who else needs to be in that vehicle with you. So that is why we chose Whatnot over Poshmark. So funny when you both want to answer. Brandon gets home Sunday night.
Okay.
Let's all get together.
Let's do it. Let's do dinner.
I can tell how much something weighs by holding it too.
Mhm.
Bree, that's because you've been doing this for a while.
Mhm.
Bree, your girl thrifts. Bree's like, I have no idea who this guy is. How's he
Well,
know so much?
she's gone out of the chat now.
Is she?
Yeah, she's
She sells on Instagram. So pray for me. I have 3 kids all by myself. Harley is a champion.
You are a champion.
Do you both do this full time now?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
By the grace of God.
You got this, Mama. I have 2 kids plus my nephew all by myself. Great show, great information. I got to head to the post office before it closes. I hope you have a great weekend of shows. Thanks, Bree. We know you're not here. How do you feel about multicasting? Oh, she's back now. How do you feel about multicasting? We're trying it out. We're multicasting onto Facebook and YouTube right now. We'll see how it goes. When I get on YouTube to see how many people are watching, there's 1 because I'm watching.
But it's all about that reiteration. It's all about just posting it to YouTube and see what happens. And as my show grows, maybe my YouTube will grow too. But right now I have 2 subscribers and I'm 1 and he's 2.
And that's how it starts.
Mm-hmm. Mediocre at best.
Also, when you're done, go see the IG post. I tagged you in.
I will.
Oh yeah, I've seen shows where people have made $30K selling on Whatnot for 1 show. Just one, crazy and exciting for us.
Yes,
100%.
let's go, Monica.
So that's where this is going. So when you approach this, think in a larger frame than what you might normally do. This isn't some where it's like, oh yeah, I could make an extra like $1,000 a month.
Mhm.
No, there are
could
going to be people that are
full
going
time.
they're going to make, mark my words, this is the beginning of it right now. This is going to blow up at one point. And shows that have 100 people in them could go to 1,000 people in a show. Shows that have 30 could have 300 people. It might be common to see somebody have 15,000 people in a show. That's where this is going to go. And also, this is going to be like QVC style, right? To where at one point, channels right now, you might do a show a week, but at one point, channels might be running multiple shows, just like back in the day, you'd watch, ABC, and they had their morning show, and then they had
Their afternoon show.
the weird court shows on in the middle of the afternoon where you're watching
Judge Judy?
Judge Judy.
She gonna get you.
This is like Fox, right?
Oh, okay.
And then they have like the afternoon when kids get home from school shows, and then it moves into like I didn't watch ABC. I watched Fox.
Okay,
so
it
now
doesn't
it's
matter.
like Seinfeld,
The
and The
whole
Simpsons
point-
came on, and then the shows after prime time, right? The whole point is that's where Whatnot channels are going to go. We're at the very beginning of this wave right now. So you can approach it however you want. But if you want to go big with this,
Join our coaching group.
You're stop yelling.
I'm sorry. No
You're-
one's gonna join.
Right. We're at 20 members, 16, 11. Everyone said you yelled too much. They're gone. So
We have a joke. For those of you who don't know, we have a joke where I will hug Steven and Jesse will be behind me. And as I'm hugging Steven, he'll be like,
it looks like this. We love each other.
we love each other. We love banter and jokes. So that's part of the Q&A, all right?
If you want to go big, you can go big with this. Like
in
straight
our
up.
coaching group.
So
I'm just kidding. Do not join unless you want to go big.
myself as well. Not sure it's working.
Mm. Hard times make strong men.
Easy times make soft men. So make times hard for yourself. Our YouTube live reseller pro. Yeah, subscribe to it. Then you can watch us on 2 different ways.
Yes.
this will grow.
Uh,
And as well, the more that you support the community and you bring in new people in, and the more that you're sharing and doing this, then more people come in. Like a buyer for Monica Vintage could be a buyer for us, or a buyer for us could be a buyer for Monica's Vintage. We're not competing for any of that stuff. There's more selection, right? And then there's more. You watch what's going to happen. We have Chat GPT. That's a common thing now. I worked in the contact center space, so did a lot of stuff with voice biometrics and transcription, all this. You watch what happens. At one point, they'll be using AI, and people will be searching on their phone for, like, I'm looking for a black
Lululemon leggings.
and somebody is speaking and showing that at the same time, so it'll bring them right into their show. Like, you don't know where this could possibly go, so skill up and get there, and just know, like, this is gonna be big. We better become millionaires ASAP.
But this is the thing is we're not joking.
Yeah, we're not joking.
This isn't a joke. Like, you can straight up be a millionaire live selling. We will be. Watch. We will be.
I feel like something I'd love you to speak is to passion selling. Basically what I mean is I found that when I sell items that I'm passionate,
keep going. Scroll down.
Okay. About they sell well, but when I try to sell pieces that are not really my style, they don't sell very well, and I'm genuinely not passionate about it. 100%.
Amen, Millie. That's why your show does so well, because you are curating shows to your audience, and your audience loves what you find. And Millie, what I meant on like curating shows, I was meaning someone who does not have an audience. If you are just beginning and you have 3 people in your show, you should focus more on getting the data to understand what sells and then curate. You did that. So
Love Allison says, hello, I've been selling on platforms since 2001, so I'm super comfy with that. Wondering how you deal with shipping, supplies, and costs. Allison, go to our past shows. She just did a Q&A last Sunday?
Yep.
Yeah, on Sunday on shipping.
Yeah.
That will be really helpful. If you have further questions, message, but I think that'll be a good starting point.
I break it down.
Gosh, I feel like I try not to do maximalist sometimes and it doesn't hit the same. 100%. You gotta,
Hi, Daniela.
Know that your business is you, right? Lately, and this is something we're going to cover in our coaching group, lots come up around branding. I think branding is really interesting because it's very, very important for branding, but also know that your brand is you. Like you're the brand. So document what you're doing and the ways that you experience. Yeah, this sharing, by the way, you don't necessarily have to go through. I'm documenting stuff right now. As we're doing the coaching group, I'm documenting things that I'm not sharing with anyone else right now. Why am I documenting stuff? Because later I'm going to be using it for content, for things. So document your journey now. That also helps your mindset, because then you can go back and say, look how far I've come. Look how far I've come.
Living in the, what is it?
In the game.
In the game.
Yeah. So go through and really document your journey right now. Don't
try and be a YouTuber, Instagram influencer, because that's what's trendy.
And being like,
do it so you document your journey, so you can look back and be like, holy crap, look where I am now.
So document it, because it's not about you. It's about what your story does for other people. You don't even have any idea. So for you to document what it is that you're doing, imagine you being able to go back and watch like your mom before she gave birth to you on like a daily basis of what she was doing, or what the early years were like, or what would it have been like to go back and watch somebody like ZK Styles. Is that her? Yeah. Where was she? Like, what does her first shows look like? And to go back and watch that whole journey. So when you document this, you don't have to share it right now, but you're going to want to go back and see that, and your story is going to inspire other people. I think more than anything, what Whatnot is doing is helping people through inspiration and through connection, more than just the items that are being sold. I think, just based off of the conversations that we've had, even in our coaching group, I think that what you are doing is probably more important than you might. Thanks for the
Thank you
raid.
for the raid.
But it's more important for you to document your journey and to share that, because you don't know what impact that could have on other people. I currently do this part-time, Millie says, so sometimes I feel like I don't have the margin to be a pro. I source, list, and sell. Do you feel like someone
can become a part-time pro?
Oh,
Yes.
100%. In fact, I think that if you are doing part-time, because part-time, typically when we talk about part-time or full-time, we're talking about the amount of hours that go into something. And I think that there are people that have a part-time business that they run full-time, and I think there are people that run a full-time business part-time.
Mm-hmm.
And so what you want to do is learn from the people who are doing it at a high level, because you don't need to add any complexity to a system. You want to keep things as simple as possible so that when you scale that system, it can scale with you. So there's a phrase that we say that we learned from someone that we follow called simple scales and fancy fails.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole idea is the sheer fact that if you add just volume to your systems, it's going to add complexity. And so because of that complexity, you have to become more refined. So when we do high volume stuff, we have to become more refined with how quickly can we get something from the thrift store
sold
and shipped in as short amount of time possible.
Mm-hmm.
Well, somebody that's doing that part-time, that's perfect, because you can learn from somebody who's doing this higher volume stuff and then take that information and apply it to your business without having to add
more
the
time.
volume to your business in order to do that. I think honestly, a lot of times people will get stuck because they are like, I don't have more time to put into my business. You probably do. Just you need to let your systems break. You need to push enough into your system that you can identify where things don't work. So when you looked at our shipping room, for example, our shipping room used to be in a different room.
Mm-hmm.
So it's changed over time so that we get more and more refined, and anything like little things,
minute
things that you're like, well, I don't need to do that. I'm not trying to be a pro.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you should probably set up your studio so you can take 300 less steps during your show.
Mm-hmm.
So move these racks closer, measure the room, and figure out like, hey, let me kind of, in the staging process, you go through and say, my selling rack is over here. This is my sold rack. Here's this rack. And I'm moving back and forth from this.
Mm-hmm.
Jen will go back and watch her show and be like, I moved my little post thing way too much. I'm way too busy. I need to figure out where I'm going to put this thing, so I'm not doing all this extra effort. As a pro, you have to refine your movements to be efficient.
Mm-hmm.
As part-time, or even coming in and being like, I don't really need to do all that.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. Just know that a pro could do what you're doing part-time in much less time than probably you're doing part-time.
Mm-hmm.
Because they had to refine their systems, because they had to push volume behind this. And so they have more experience.
Mm-hmm.
Then just go learn from a pro. So for example, I'm never going to play in the NBA. I keep hitting them up. They haven't hit me back yet. But if I got coached
get there.
If I got coached from an NBA player or a coach, I would be way better me going down to playing at the local gym than I would, so whatever level you're playing at, go learn from the best that you can find, and then apply that to what it is that you're doing, and you'll dominate in what it is, the area that you want to play.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to do full time in order to be a pro. A pro is the mentality behind this. Are you showing up consistently? Do you have controllable wins?
Are you refining your process?
Yeah, 100%. How do you deal with cancellation requests? Other sellers have said cancellation negatively impacts sellers. We accept them.
For me, I would rather keep the buyer and be overly accommodating to someone who wants to cancel. Especially if they're a first-time buyer, I give so much grace to people who are new to the app. Whatnot, if you're not ready for it, your credit card bill or your bank account can be depleted in 24 hours, and it's a real thing. And if someone regrets buying something and they're hurting for money, or it's damaged or whatever, I 100% accept cancellations. I want to keep that buyer happy so that they will come back, not get the most out of the item by not accepting cancellations. You're going to lose a buyer. If you put a struggle in to be able to have cancellations, you're going to lose a buyer. They want to know you're going to take care of them, and you will take care of them, and they will take care of you. And so I want to keep the buyer, and I accept all cancellations no matter what.
And if you're getting a lot of cancellations, it's probably something you need to either
address
in some way. So look at it as another thing is as well, don't spend a whole lot of time on, so any feedback we get is good feedback. We got suspended for shipping. We weren't shipping in time. When she told me, we weren't like, oh no, we were like, oh wow, that is some solid feedback. Straight up. I wish we would have recorded that interaction, because she was like, hey, our business is suspended for the next 7 days and our instant pay is suspended for 30 days. So we were like, oh, well, that changes our entire business. And immediately not being like, well, that's so unfair, that what not this. And it's so stupid. I'm not going to sit, and that's not productive. Instead, being like, how did we create this? So if you have a lot of cancellations, go back there and be like, how am I creating this? And
take responsibility.
Don't take your time to be like, well, this buyer and this person and that. Well, what are you doing? That's not number one. You're never going to be a pro. You don't have to be full time in order to be a pro. But the mentality is everything that happens is, how do I make adjustments and improve this, because I'm receiving feedback? So don't complain about your buyers, or if you have a negative buyer or negative review, go evaluate it. Now, if they're like, oh, this person looks like they have smelly breath, and so I didn't really even like the item. Well, some of that might be valid. Some of it might not, And so look at it and honestly and openly, and just be like,
what's the feedback?
Yeah, what's the feedback, and
how do I
what
adjust?
Is true? And so just something to keep in mind. Don't spend time on things that don't move your business along, and know that everything that comes in is valuable information that you can improve upon. Monica says package pickup saving like 2 hours each week. 100% gives me an extra few hours to do other important things. We had that too. And that's made a huge difference.
She just bought a rollout too.
Let's go. Buyer over the sell. I feel like that was the second.
Millie, I think you're referring to cancellations. So let's say I don't want to accept cancellations. The only reason what would motivate you to do that is you want to be able to keep the profit that you made from that sale, instead of being like, the lifetime value of this potential customer is $200. So I'm willing to give up the $30 in earning to gain that buyer, to keep that buyer, so they will come back and buy. I would rather but I'd rather err on the side of caution and make sure that my buyer feels taken care of.
100%. And also for the mindset of it, where if a cancellation or a negative review or any of these things is taking days off of you that you could be investing into your business, or taking longer than 5 minutes, then you're probably operating off of feelings. And as awesome and as fun as it might feel to talk about this and how bad this and all that is, like, skip all the drama and grow your business. Don't get caught up in that. So do you feel like your model and coaching group apply to all categories, not just clothing?
Yes.
I believe so.
We teach on very, you explain it.
There's principles and concepts that we're using that we didn't come up with, that we're teaching, that will help not only just in business, but in life in general. And so a lot of this stuff is, we feel is applicable across the board. What I will say is we're not teaching traditional reselling. So we prefer, and at one point we will insist that you move your entire business over to live reselling, because that's what we're focused on. And we believe that,
and we want to be
diluted focus produces diluted results. And so if you want to be like really good, you better don't try to be awesome at basketball and football. So yes, we believe that
the coaching group,
it will apply. When they cancel, did they send the item back?
Carly, they can't cancel if I have shipped the item.
One more question before I go. One more question. Should I just run the rack or bounce around?
run the rack. If you're a newbie, you need order, you need structure, you need to figure out what is your streaming process. Write it down, write it step by step. I hit live, I run a giveaway, I introduce myself, I give a little expose on what we are going to be showing and what I'm selling. Here is how my show is ran. Can anyone mod? Start your show. Start from the beginning of the rack, run it all the way through. You need iterations. Everything needs a cycle and everything needs a beginning and an end. Do not let the buyer dictate how your show is run. If you're like, I'm taking requests, your buyer is dictating the show instead of you dictating the show and being like, I'm running the rack, I run in order, and at the end I do rapid fire. So you will be able to see everything you missed in the beginning.
When she gets a new buyer, she even says, hey, thank you so much. Happy to have you part of the family. And I do shows she has a way that she does something for everything that happens. And if she doesn't, we're identifying ways that we can add that into the show. Can you just buy something and cancel it and get it for free? No, because it has to be shipped.
Yeah.
If it's shipped out, then they can't cancel it.
If they contact you or whatnot and they provide proof that the item was damaged or that you didn't disclose a flaw, whatnot will reimburse them and they get to keep the item. Sometimes I have heard that some people send it to Whatnot, but it doesn't matter. What Whatnot takes care of is what Whatnot takes care of, and you don't gotta worry about it.
Took a personal one time. That was a huge mistake. Millie says, haha, the customer's really rude, but I should have just looked past. 100%. You're going to get those. And you know what? Those people will take care of themselves as far as if they're really rude. It's going to be a pattern and it's not worth it. But the main thing is protecting your mindset and being like, I'm going to learn from this.
Daniela, I will text you the link to our coaching group.
Do you have a Facebook group? No, we run off a school. It was funny when we were setting up our community.
Queen of all crowns.
Yeah, we
wanted to do a Facebook group.
And she was like, no one's on Facebook anymore.
No one is on Facebook. I'm not on Facebook. I never look at Facebook. I feel like the only person who is on Facebook is like my grandpa and my aunt. So we decided.
So we're on MySpace.
Mm-hmm.
And
no, we're on School. We're on an app called School. It's SKOOL. And you can find our group there. Just type in Live Reseller Pro and it'll pop right up.
And it's awesome. Because you can go
and
post.
Queen of all crowns, go to my Instagram. My Instagram handle is the same as my Whatnot. Click the link in my bio and it will say school.com/Live Reseller Pro.
Have you guys considered having a Discord group for private group chats? No, we have a community. It's on school.com like she just explained. Say that again. My kids are screaming. Sorry, Carly, I don't know what we were talking about. When there's only 1 to 2 people in the show, hard not to take requests. Yeah. 100%.
But that's why you follow the process, is it will create structure and it will provide a predictable concept for you to get more people into your show and to get repeat buyers. So you're not building your system off of how do I get more people in my show? That is not the objective. The objective is to do as many iterations of this full circle and taking the data and doing it better and better.
You guys are great. Thanks for the advice. You're welcome,
You're welcome, Cher.
Thank you. I just need to hear that part because I get caught up sometimes waiting for requests. Sometimes when I fully have my shop loaded.
Yeah, and then you have all this dead time and you don't know how to fill it. Instead, fill it with productivity and showing your items in order. And don't take requests. It's a show. You have to look at this as a production, as a show. You guys know my show. I have a very strategic layout and it feels like a show. Sorry, baby.
You're good. How much is the group? The group is $27 a month right now.
Yeah.
We are going, once we hit capacity, which is going to be 30 people, once we're at 30, the reason why we're doing that is because we're also doing one-to-one coaching calls. You can schedule it. It's right within the link. There's also every Monday night we do a call, and we have an outline, and we're building the slides for a whole course that we're doing. We're going to deliver that course live to the members within that group. And so we need to be able to only focus on the members in our group for
and not
however
bringing
long.
more people in.
However long. We don't know what that looks like, but once we feel like we have a really good cadence and that people in the group are getting everything that they need, then we will open it up later, but we're obviously going to increase the price because we're adding in more and more value as we do this. So right now it's $27 until we turn it off for a while.
I'm going to switch you.
I definitely want to learn and also be a part of your guys' group and have fun. That's what we
Daniela,
would love.
we would love that. I want to mod, but I can't mod on there.
Oh, okay. Let me go back to. Okay, cool. I think we're there. Do y'all have any other questions? Is anyone feeling a little overwhelmed from being yelled at for the last 3 hours? No.
I'm gonna make it seem like no one's gonna come back.
Hey, I think one thing that you can do is
sprinkles. No, we have what is called the grandfather setting. So if you start at $27 a month and we raise it to $47, your payment will not increase. So it's a really good time to get in because we're going to shut it at 30 and open it back up, and we're going to charge 47. So get in now.
We are going to, if we have people that either decide not to move forward with the group, we're going to keep the capacity at 40. So if we need to bring in some other people into the group, we're going to do that. The reason why we're doing this, the community that we're building, we are not in the process. We are not trying to sell memberships to it. What we're doing is we want to buy a community of like-minded people that are using the same language and are really truly here to grow their business. And so over time, because the community, it needs to be people that are in it to win it. Because if not, then we have a community of people that are like armchair quarterbacking. We want people that are in the arena. We want people that are doing it and that are learning from it. And then once we feel like we have a really solid community, we will then open it up for more. But for now, we're going to keep it at 30. And the reason why is because we're doing one-to-one calls as well. Obviously, when we open it up, we can't. When we open it and we're at like 100 members, we can't do one-to-one calls. So, IG, okay. So, yes. And if you're not ready to do shows right now, still okay to join. Yes. And just know as we continue to move along, like totally fine, but we want to identify why we're not doing shows right now. Obviously, we have people in the group that are like selling their house and moving right now. Totally understandable. We have people that are pregnant and also going to be moving. And so totally understand that. What we don't want is somebody that's been with us and they're joining every call for 6 months and they still want to do it, but they're not taking action on it, because that doesn't do any good for the community. It doesn't do any good for that person. And it shows that either we aren't the right fit for you, or maybe reselling live isn't for you. So what the group that we're creating right now, we want it to be very curated, and we want it to be a very safe space that we can come in and share ideas of where we're at and learn and grow. And so we want to keep it somewhat protected initially, and then build what the community culture is going to be, and even eventually get moderators. And we have enough material in there that can walk somebody through the very beginning, from understanding what the opportunity is, all the way through where you should start right now, all the way to people that are advanced and are already have been doing this for a while. So I'm glad this has been amazing, the Salty Seller.
Yeah. I am one of them moving. I joined because I want to get info and help before we move. I think it will help me get the right setup. Yes. The Queen of All Crowns. Would this group help with handmade sellers and people that create the products that they are selling? Yes. What we are teaching in the group is just the fundamentals. Your product can be anything. It could be handmade goods. It could be plants. It can be Pokemon cards. We just want to teach you the principles of live selling. And I would absolutely love to have a handmade seller. Carly's Collections, she's also a handmade seller. And I'm really interested in learning the market of how can someone take their handmade goods and sell them on Whatnot. Like, that's a really cool data point that I would love to be able to have access to if you join.
We also we want to make sure that you're profitable and that you're not building, because we are building a business. We want to make sure that whatever you're building, if you're an artist and you do, like, for example, like paintings, then we want to look at like can you create prints. If you're doing handmade stuff, totally, but we need to make sure that your margins eventually get to a point that you are not trading your time for money, because it will reach a point of either frustration or burnout or both if you are strictly trading your time for money, because you are having to make all these things. Whereas it's like, well, is there a way that we can have these things made, because we want to be able to scale your business? Or there's a variety of things, but we definitely want to make sure that you have we're building businesses. We don't want to be self-employed. We want to eventually grow it and grow other streams of income as well. But first and foremost, you got to build one stream of income. So just wanted to say that. And then I believe your name is Gina, Squirrel Resell. I can't stand for more than 1 hour. I got hurt at work last year, but I want to do lives hopefully soon. I source on here because of Thrifty. It's impossible right now. So I don't think you even have to stand up right now. Like, you don't
sit in a chair.
Yeah.
I was 9 months pregnant, doing my lives sitting down. I lowered my racks, had my selling rack here and my sold rack here, and I just showed it like this.
I want to maybe help with bringing people over to my personal styling business. Yeah. So the traffic on Whatnot, we rent, right? So we don't own Whatnot. It's not our personal thing. Yes, we have personal relationships. So what we look to do is bring people into an ecosystem. This is something that we're going to be covering in the coaching group. But you want to bring people into your ecosystem and let them stay within that. So that could be, right now our ecosystem is Whatnot.
Instagram.
1 subscriber on YouTube. 2, because we doubled our subscriber rate yesterday. We should write that down.
We should.
Then what was I talking about?
You're talking about
I got so excited about our subscribers.
I know. Oh, our ecosystem.
Oh, the ecosystem. So for personal styling, for example, we think that's great. In fact, we've even played around with ideas of doing like a private stream. You could even do something where you're like, I want to bring in people that are like personal style type stuff. When you get high-end items, and be like, hey, it's $20 to get the link for this thing, so you can cover your costs on the front end and do like awesome giveaways, but it's a private link. So I think there's a lot of different possibilities with where to go. I think personal styling is a great way to go, and you're getting real live feedback, and that's what we're looking for. So yes. I remember little JJ in the tummy. Little JJ needs to get up from his nap.
He's good. Let him sleep.
I've thought about that. There are so many different ways to go with this. Also, it's not just Whatnot. We're building an ecosystem. The ecosystem is everything. It could
That's
be an email
what
list.
this is for. Sharing to your ecosystem, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, wherever your people congregate, that is where you are sharing this. And it's going to get people to your show. They're going to buy more items. Then they're going to follow you on Instagram. And anything you do off of Whatnot, they have access to. Because we don't own the viewership on Whatnot. We don't own it. They could kick us off and shut us down at any time. And you want to make sure you've built a foundation of viewers and true fans on all of your whole ecosystem.
Carly said, I'm considering doing the handmade items in the midst of clothing shows. Bad idea, good idea. Could totally be a good idea. Without the data, don't know. I also recommend that you start with one and get one something. Don't confuse your buyer. Don't have an Indian sushi Mexican restaurant. So I think it's good to bring in stuff like if you have like I'm doing a modern clothing show, and then be like, hey, y'all want to see some handmade stuff that I'm working on? 100%. But I wouldn't do like, I have handmade stuff. I also am doing kids clothes over here. I also have some books that I'm reselling. Like, don't try to Walmart it, right? So, yeah, I'll follow on YouTube.
Let's go. Thanks, Gina.
We just 3x'd our YouTube
I know.
channel in like a couple of days.
And
We're
we
winning,
got it
guys.
on video.
We have it on video. Yeah, and we know who. So Gina, if we don't see 3 subscribers or
We're
you
gonna
unsubscribe,
be very upset.
we're first gonna ask like, did you unsubscribe? Was it you? Then it was Gina, and we're gonna
coming for you.
yeah, we're coming for you. Will this show be saved in the past shows? Yes.
Yep. I save all my shows in the past shows.
'Cause I
If
got
you
your-
ever miss one of my shows, you can rewatch it. I hate those restaurants. Not a buffet,
Those-
man.
They're expecting you now.
Yes.
Yep, 100%.
I will subscribe. Thank you, Heather. Look at
Guys,
us.
this is little wins, guys.
Look at us.
We're winning right now.
It is. I'll putting it in the chat. I'm doing it.
You want to know something funny? We just put up the recording of our Monday night call, and I had to do it through YouTube. And she's like, "Hey, you should put it on our YouTube channel, Live Reseller Pro." And we couldn't find our YouTube channel. We didn't know how to log into it. It was under. We didn't even. We're
It
like,
was under an email that I never created.
I spent
2
probably
hours.
2 hours finding our YouTube, but we found it, and we're back.
Yes.
Yes, if we could call. We could all call it a win with small things. We'd be better people.
Yes.
It's 100% just little wins, y'all. But more than anything, like, and we're joking right now about that.
7 subscribers. Yeah, baby. Let's go. It was because Millie.
Let's go.
Because Millie, she put it up there.
I knew none of the passwords. You're like, yep. So, but for real, like, we're joking about the win thing, but you really do need to wire yourself for a win of being like, this is a win.
Where's my win at?
And same thing, we're trying to do the same thing with our kids. Being like, hey, like Gracie was getting so frustrated because I taught her chess and she was so mad that she wasn't winning every single time. I'm like, I'm 42 years old, girl.
Yeah.
I've been playing chess since I was your age. I'm going to whoop you every single time. It's so unfair though. No, it's not. No, it's not. This is a good thing. And look, you learn how to do this. You learned your opening. So same thing, even as a child, like, and you go back and look at your wins, you know? So keep those in mind. Like, don't neglect your small wins. Acknowledge them because it's what's going to keep you going. And as silly as it is, like, it is a real thing. We got to wire our brains for it so that we're used to it by the time we get to that point. So that when somebody drops 100 people in your show, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I was ready for this because I've been a winner for the last 3 years.
What is it? Preparation meets opportunity. Are you prepared to receive the opportunity you're looking for? Have you done your iterations? Are you ready?
How do we pay? If you're talking about the school group, it's all
I'll
okay.
text her.
What's your favorite food? I love Indian food.
Sushi.
Or sushi.
We love sushi.
Yeah.
Whenever we have a really good show, like a record-breaking show, we get sushi. It's so good. It's our favorite. Drop those questions, guys. If not, we're going to shut her down.
But don't go to a sushi Indian restaurant. 100%.
No, Millie.
That brings out chips and salsa as an appetizer.
So
Where
y'all
am I
should
right
love
now?
the sushi Indian place.
The Jenica show inspired me to start back on Whatnot with Low Starts. I mean, Monica, your shows,
You're so. It's
we get
so
amped
good.
up. We're like in our kitchen
like,
being like, go girl, go girl.
Good.
You don't even know, all right?
We love you so much, and we're rooting for you.
Monica's like, I don't even know who this dude is. I'm rooting for you, though.
Yeah,
You're a winner.
But we've known Monica has been a buyer with me since at the very beginning. She was buying things at $1.
How do you balance work and selling? Oh, man.
We are, and it's not
Nap
even so
time.
much work. It's more balancing life, balancing parenthood. So, but Stephen and I, we have been blessed with a very, very open line of communication between us. We both tell each other where we're at, and every day we need to get better at this, but we need to plan it out further. But every day he will be like, okay, I'm going to do this from this time to this time. You'll have kids. You're going to do this from this time to this. So we just have very good teamwork skills.
We're getting better.
Yeah.
Another thing is avoid the gray zone.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to have an on and an off. You need to have an opening and a closing for everything that you're doing. Because
Mm-hmm.
otherwise, imagine your browser, even though my Chrome actually looks like this. My Chrome browser is a bunch of tabs that are open.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to close those things down
Mm-hmm.
because, and I'm talking figuratively, of course, but you need, and literally I do, because then I'm like, why is this not responding anymore? But don't live in the gray zone. You need to have an off time. So if it is, for example, with kids, when we talk about kids, we talk about in our group potency, to be more potent with your time. I don't need to engage with my 18-month-old little boy for like 3 hours straight. I can engage with him for 30 minutes in a really potent way, and he's good to go, right? And then it's more like maintenance. Yeah, let him like roam around and explore the world.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if I don't give him any of that stuff, he's going to yearn for that like deep connection.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with us. Like we don't need to spend, 3 hours having deep connection. We just need to be more potent. So keep that in mind, is like you're going to find yourself in the gray zone whenever you are trying to do multiple things. You're not being an engaged mother and also watching Whatnot shows while also doing shipping, and it's too much. So have a beginning and an end to the thing that you're doing, and then you can pare it down by using Parkinson's law, which states the amount of time that you set aside for a given task will be how long that task takes.
Mm-hmm.
So what you can do is time yourself.
H. Buckley, Heather, I know that I think you struggle with understanding when your start and stop times are and what that system looks like for all the S's.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to help you, hold your hand, help you through that, help you define what is your start and your stop and how do you break it down.
Is there a video that helps with how to set up your printer, who can be a moderator, and how they are paid when you work solo? How does it work?
Moderators are not paid. If you want to be a mod, you can just be a mod. No one is paid during that transaction unless the seller is being kind and they want to tip them and they're another seller. As far as a printer, I would YouTube it.
Yeah.
YouTube's going to be your best friend.
YouTube University.
Mm-hmm.
Multitasking is not a true skill or something to desire to achieve. Be potent.
Carly, let's go.
Yes.
We're bookmarking 22 bookmarks.
Let's go. When you guys go to Carly's collection right now,
click Carly's collections.
She's going.
Yes.
Y'all need to watch out.
Watch out.
Yes, I've never been able to do this ever.
Mm-hmm.
So nice.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
There she is. Just click on Carly's collection and go bookmark.
So look for ways that you might be living in the gray zone in your life, and then pick the one thing. What I'm saying is not like I'm scrolling on Instagrams. You're a bad person if you do that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying pick your time as to when you do that. Like if you're going to do that, be like, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to scroll for the next 30 minutes on Instagram mindlessly.
Mm-hmm.
Choose that, but be intentional about what it is you're doing. Don't be doing that kind of, but then also don't kind of do stuff. Do it all the way, because that way we're not big on balance. We don't talk about balance, like a work-life balance, because our lives are very integrated. Like Gracie does shipping. If I have to take shipping, she's doing it with me. Mm-hmm. Gracie's been a part of shows. Mm-hmm. So when the kids are here, they know what's up. Mm-hmm. What we're really looking for right now is how do we work? Are we on or off with what we're doing? Is this program open or closed? And then actually like finishing it out. We're not the best at this, but we're working towards it so that we can become more potent. And I am working with like timing myself, creating time restrictions around things can help create more free time that you can free up time that you can then invest back into your business.
Yeah, you want to buy your time back.
Mm-hmm. I was in a show and they said they encourage their mods not to bid. Isn't that strange? Like, why not? Yeah, your mods most likely are like
your best customers.
Don't ever mod me because I'm gonna
shop till I drop.
All right, bedtime.
We love you, Chris.
Okay, we got to go to bed too, Chris.
Yep.
My mods are my customers because they are paid.
Yep.
Work-life synergy. Yeah. work-life synergy, 100%. It's the same thing. And how we talk about this as well. Like, you don't have business problems, you have personal problems that reflect in your business. That's one of the things. That's why when we got suspended for shipping, we were like, okay, well, what in our life is not working right now that we need to go back? It's not whatnot, it's what we're doing personally. Whatnot prohibits people on your payroll to bid during your shows.
Interesting.
Huh. Oh, I could see how people could probably try to get people to bid stuff up.
Yeah, like trying to set a planter in there and then it's just fine.
Don't pull tricks.
I know, just truly
Some
win.
big sellers pay out their mod, so it's against the rules for them to bid. Gotcha.
Makes sense.
It's an ethics issue. Yep. So thanks,
Thanks,
Millie.
Millie.
We love you.
We love you so much. You need to get on that phone call, miss. Get in our coaching program.
I think that we are probably going to talk a bit about branding. Sometimes the call doesn't come to me till like
the day before.
But yeah, we have some. Yeah, there's a lot that are.
Wow, Daniela.
Wow.
Thank
Thank
you.
y'all.
We do 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So if you're East Coast, it's 8 p.m. If you're West Coast, it's 5 p.m.
We record the call. I was having trouble getting it up, but
See
now
you at school.
we the videos are up. So if you missed the Monday night call, totally fine. Or if you're late to it, totally fine. I now know the last call we did, I upload it to YouTube. It's a private video on YouTube that I can now put into the school platform.
Little Green Turtles. Sorry, babe. I would just double check all your information is correct, like your expiration date, or maybe try a different card. That's so odd.
Okay.
You can message me on Instagram. Send me a screenshot of what it looks like.
So if you miss the call on Monday and you're part of our coaching group, you can watch the playback. It'll be uploaded. I'm going to try to have it. I'll begin processing it right after I get the video back. It takes sometimes for a little bit for Google Meet to do it. And
I love it. That's what, we truly feel called to serve this community. I feel like the live resellers or resellers in general are so underserved. And we feel so called to take what we've learned from our traditional reselling business and now our successful live reselling business and share it with you guys. So I love that you're joining. Thank you so much. If anyone else is interested, we are capping at 30 people. And the information on how to join is in the show notes. But
then we're going to do Q&As
every Friday.
Just like this. And
3 more slots.
Uh-oh.
Wow. Let's go. 3
we'll
more.
Look at the capacity. So there's a call every Monday night. We'll usually present some new information and then we open it up so we can talk about whatever it might be. There is one-to-one coaching sessions. My calendar is up, so you can schedule a one-to-one call. So if you're like, hey, I have questions about my business, creating a plan of action, then we can get on a call. It's 45 minutes long. That's included with this. And then we are also in the process of, it'll probably be Thursday night that I'm going to do our course. It's called Foundations of Live Reselling. And that's going to be done live. I actually try to record videos and it's hard for me to talk when there's nobody on the other side. So I'm going to invite you all to come into those presentations. Those are going to be recorded. Those are full-on courses that are going to be included. That's going to go over the opportunity that we're all looking at right now with reselling, what it means to be a pro. And then we break down what do I do at the end of that one? We break down like next steps. The second set is going to be this right here, but we go into depth around it. Then the third set or the third course is going to be how to use the tracker, how to use all the show journals, all those things as well. So
we're going to set you guys up for success. You're going to have the entire infrastructure to grow your live reselling business, and you're going to have the community to back you, and you're going to have 2 coaches who are there to help you. They want you to win. We want everyone to win.
Yep. So there is a group call and then there's personal calls. Do you guys feel like a social media presence is necessary? I feel like an ecosystem.
Her name is Joey.
Hey, Joey, I feel like social media, any business you have to market it in some way, right? You got to let people know what you're doing. So
especially
yes,
when
to
it's
some
on
degree.
a phone too, like most people are going to look at social media on their phone, and then they're also going to look at whatnot on their phone too. So very easy to swap from app to app. How do you join the groups you mentioned? Virgie, go to the show notes, and in the show notes it will tell you how to join. There's a link in my Instagram bio. It is the school link, the very first link.
I will say, Joey, that social media presence, I wouldn't say is necessary, but you better have like an ecosystem that you're building. And I would say, as long as you're doing the share thing, that you should build a social media presence so that you can get more people into your show. That's the only way it's going to happen, is if it's going to be either word of mouth or you got to push it out there. The other thing as well, because there's levels to this, right? There's layers to this. Eventually you want to get it to a point that you're confident that you can then go out and acquire more customers. So once your audience is large enough and you know what your LTV, the lifetime value of a customer is, then you now have the ability to go out and market and use money behind that in order to get new people in. When they come into your show, you want to be able to have them come into your ecosystem. So having stuff where it's like, I have a YouTube channel or an Instagram or something that they can stay within and plugged into your ecosystem. That's going to be
and
part
where
of
they
it.
can see you doing these things. If I see someone on Instagram and they're selling something, whether it's a homemade good, whether it's baking or anything, if I see the process step by step on how to do it, I'm a full-time watcher and I'm a full-time buyer, because I see the behind the scenes of what it is that they're doing, and they have integrity with what they're doing.
Do you want to make more shows?
Like other channels? Currently, I'm very happy with Vintage Kids and Vintage Women's.
We do one channel at a time.
And she just joined. I'm popping
awesome.
threads. Let's go. Let's do it. Candace, we're excited to have you.
So, sorry if you're explaining. Can you break down the 5S model behind you?
Totally.
100%.
Totally.
There's really only 5 elements to your reselling business. It's going to be sourcing, which is finding the items. It's going to be staging, which is taking the items and preparing them. Also staging your environment to sell, like your studio, whatever that might be, and staging yourself. This is physically, mentally, and emotionally. Then you move on to streaming, which is you actually showing your items, making offers, right? And then after you've done that, you ship what needs to be shipped. We also use this to review what to improve so that we then go back into sourcing and we get better at sourcing. So this improves as we go along, and then we document the entire thing by sharing. This is a really easy way to help grow. The question around like, hey, do you need a social media presence? This is a really easy way to do it, of just being like, here's what I'm learning right now, and here's my process of doing that. Like, just document what you're learning.
And it can be messy, it can be fumbly, it can be bad lighting. And Joey, thank you for joining. We are going to go over how to utilize social media in your live selling.
Yeah, sharing. I honestly think that a lot of people get caught up in the brand of like, what's my brand? How do I do my brand? What's this?
What's the logo?
That?
Should I use pink or green or?
But that's not really like your personal brand. You can't really brand yourself in a personal way without knowing what it is that you're already doing. Like, you can't brand something that isn't authentic all the way through, right? A brand is a relationship we have with something that we know, like, and trust, right? So your brand is going to be you. And then whatever kind of your style is and how that comes about is how that comes about. So don't get too caught up on like, well, my logo. And I think a lot of times we talk about branding and it's like, well, what if your brand was, I'm a student of the game? That's it. And I just share where I'm at right now. And because I think branding a lot of times, like, well, I don't have those things. And like, what is my color scheme? And what is, and I need the right name and I need this. And it's like, it reminds me of being in a band. And it was like, we would talk about band names for so long. I'm like, why don't we just focus on writing really good songs and then performing them really well and recording them really well? Because honestly, at the end of the day, your brand, if you're good, is going to take care of itself. So focus on what's going to actually move it along, not so much all the little things, because a lot of those little things can hold you back. Are they important? To some degree, but not so important that it should stop you from doing what you're doing. Also, don't be afraid to share where you're currently at in the process right now, right? Nobody, like, when you watch somebody, you're like, wow, that dude's really fit. Good for you, man.
Yeah.
Versus a before and after being like, hey, here's a video of this person.
Sloppy I was.
Yeah.
And overweight I was. That's so much more valuable.
And here's my journey going all the way
things.
through. And they're not like, so keep that in mind. You don't need to figure out exactly who you are. God already did that for you. Like, you just document what you're doing. And as you do that and you share that, people are going to come aboard. And then when you're like, hey, I learned this thing, I'm going to share that. Oh, I learned this and this is what I learned. Or just being like, hey, y'all, I just did a show and nobody showed up. So here's what I'm going to do differently next time. You watch what happens. People are going to root for you as long as they know what it is that you're doing. So, and another thing is as well, is when you're sharing what it is that you're doing, people will begin to support you in that, being like, hey, I have like all these clothes. I don't know if you want them. A lot of them are new with tag. Do you want those? You're like, yeah, I do. They're great. I'll just give them to you. You'll be surprised when you start sharing how much support will just come out of the woodwork.
You don't even know. You don't even know. This last
week,
we
have 140 pounds on our porch right now.
We have that
because of
SJ mailed to me.
Girl's gonna break my back. So don't get caught up in the whole like social media and how it should look and stuff.
Yeah, you're just documenting.
Be sloppy with it. In fact, part of the video that we're going to be doing on our call on Monday in the coaching group is me showing. I'm doing dishes. I'm going to show you how to create content of me doing dishes based off of a thing that I learned. Guess what? I didn't even brush my beard for it. I'm wearing shorts. Like I'm, like this is life. Like our house is a disaster right now. So it's better for us just to accept that and to show it for what it is and know that we're going to like improve as we go along. So don't feel like don't get fit so you can go to the gym is what I'm saying. I think a lot of people approach social media. Once my life is in order, then I'm going to start documenting that. Like that's a silly thing. Document the whole thing and your life will improve because you're going to the gym, right? You're going to the gym in order to improve. You're going to social media so you can document your own journey because it is not about what other people think of you. It is about you documenting your journey for your own self and what you're learning. And then the people that resonate with you, because you don't want to change in order to get buyers, right? You want them to be aligned with you and your values. When you show those things, it's going to happen naturally, and then those buyers are going to come to you. So don't try to put together this
a facade.
A facade, yeah.
I need to be the 100% now. No, you're only 20%. You're 20%, so show 20%. And the reason why I have such a good return buyer rate is because I have exposed my journey the entire time I've been live. People knew I was pregnant. They knew I got off because I was taking care of a baby. They watched me get back on. I did $1 starts, then I did $5 starts, then I went back to $1, then back to $5. Like everyone has seen the journey. Most of my return buyers have seen me when I was selling $1 and I was not doing a good job at it. And now they see the success and it's inspiring. Anyone who is leveling up in their life is so inspiring to other people. So use that as your motivator. What could possibly be the outcome of an external person witnessing your growth, what will that do to someone in your life? It could drastically change the trajectory of their existence. And that is what we're put here to do.
Yep.
Find what your niche is, find what you're here to do, serve that audience the best that you can, and share the journey. And they will follow you. They will become loyal customers. Tell them about 1,000 True Fans.
Go look up an article. It's called 1,000 True Fans. It's a classic article, if an article could be considered classic. But go look up 1,000 True Fans. And the premise is, if you have 1,000 people who truly love what you do, this is for people that were doing music or art or something along those lines. Typically, in like some sort of you're creating art, right? Well, the whole premise is, you have 1,000 people that love what you do, and they spend $100 with you a year. That's $100,000. That an artist with a very small group of people, 1,000 people is not that many people in the scheme of things, that love everything that you do. You can build a life off of 1,000 True Fans. Go read the article; it's really good. I think that will help in kind of the mentality of, you're not trying to get 1 million people. You're trying to just. I think that's the big thing about branding, is like, you can't design your brand without understanding your values and who you are, right?
And we go over this in the coaching group.
Yeah.
The coaching group isn't just about your business. It's about your lifestyle and how your personal problems bleed into your business. So we have to cover the personal in order for it to bleed into the business in a positive way.
So that's we're going to cover that. I think that's what we're going to end up doing for our call on Monday. So we'll cover that in our call on Monday.
Their little man.
Our little dude just got up.
Our little man just woke up.
So we're going to go, we're going to turn off. We're not going to live in the gray zone. We're going to turn off Whatnot right now. And we're going to go intentionally be, and we're going to go into family time now. So we love you. Hopefully we love you,
doing
Melly.
Q&As every Friday. My Vintage Women's show is every Saturday evening. My Vintage Kids show, I think, is going to be every Friday morning and Sunday morning, depending on how much inventory I find. I hear ya. We are too, Joey. So grateful. Thank you so much. Everyone who joined.
This is recorded.
And you can view this recording under my past shows. Also, the link for the call. A lot of people got confused of where the link was. In your school app, you will see your calendar, and the link to Monday's call will be in the calendar. So just be aware of that. Thank you so much, Kristen. We love you. We love you guys so much. We're so glad you found us too. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Love y'all.
Evening, I guess.
Whatever it is, we don't know.
We're living in Whatnot land. We have no idea what time it is. Where are we?
What do I do?
I got it.
We just leave it?
Yes.
We just live stream?
Yes.
Okay.
We're gonna raid Jennifer. Jennifer is in our coaching group. If she's still live, we're gonna raid her. She's amazing. She's super solid. And she has amazing vintage. So if you're into shopping right now, check her out. All right. Hi, Spanona. Bye.